Hello, everybody. Welcome to Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
This is a comic book review show where we take the books from the past week, and then we recap them, review them, tell you what we thought about them, and then give you recommendations of books that are coming out this week we think you should pick up. We also have, it's a sponsor of sorts. If you are in the chat and you're watching the show live, two things. First of all, guess what? You're a secret sponsor. If you want to sponsor today's episode, use Super Chats. Ask a question or make a comment. We'll read it here on the show, the proceeds of which go into our pockets, so to speak.
I don't have any pockets.
Well, okay, my pockets, and I'll hold on to it for you. And you as well. Also, our friends over at Inside Editions have a 35% off promo code. You can use POP35 or just use the link in the chat right now. It's pinned at the top of the window, so you just scroll right up there. You can get something fun, like this new book that is either out or coming out soon, Cooking with Deadpool, which it's gotta be a reference to Cooking with Dog, right? I mean, like, come on.
Maybe. I don't know. I would like to see this show. Ryan Reynolds. You seem to like the internet. And you're clearly a watcher of the show.
Oh, yeah. No, Ryan is a big fan of not only Off the Rack, but also ComicPOP as well. We actually rejected him from back issues when we first started. He was like, come on.
Yeah, all he wanted to do. It was so sad.
Yeah, it was. I regret it a little bit now, but I think Ben's worth it. So we have this 35% off promo code. Check it out if you're interested in saving some cash on checkout over at Inside Editions. If you're not familiar, they make a lot of fun books. That's it.
I'm legit looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
This just came in the mail today.
We literally just got it. We haven't had a chance to really look through it.
I haven't had a chance to look through it at all, but I'm really looking forward to this. Just because of like the ability that they'll have to like really break the fourth wall with this book.
Yeah, make a cooking book kind of fun.
Yeah, well, it's like Deadpool can actually like comment on this.
Right.
And of course you have to know that chimichangas
naturally
are in here.
All right.
So
yeah.
You know, now's your chance.
Yes, and before we even get started, I will mention at the top of the hour, of course, Kevin Feige did confirm not only is Deadpool Ryan Reynolds in the MCU,
I know,
also will be R-rated.
Yeah,
or at least they're planning
on it. They're teasing on R rating.
I mean, he said it will be R-rated, which is more than a tease, I'd say. And I'm only saying that because I saw a lot of articles said tease.
I know.
And I'm like, is that a tease if he says it's going to be R?
Tease is safe.
That's the thing. Is that like Feige said it in an interview about something else 2 years before Deadpool 3 is coming out, so like, you know.
It's a section about spatchcocking and chicken.
Oh god.
Okay.
So Brian Rowland's helping us out, says, can't wait for the new comic and future state talk. Good to see the future of DC stays consistent with Wally West still being a murderer. I will say this. Tomorrow on Elseworlds Exchange, I have a special guest who confirms that not only is Future State Flash not in continuity, but also that Wally is getting his due. And that is to say, he won't be a murderer. Or at the very least, he won't be 100% responsible for said murders from previous, stories. So if you want to see more about that, definitely check out Elseworlds Exchange. It is pre-recorded. It will not be live, but it will be live to you. So please, watch the episode. Nate Dogg, for some reason my comic shop had the DC books out early, so I read Death Metal and the first wave of Future State almost 2 weeks ago. Agreed.
Whoa.
Yeah, I saw that a lot of shops were doing that. Nothing you can do about that. Joe Zilla, snap back to DC's confusing new reality. Oops, there goes gravity. That's amazing. Thank you very much for your nice reference.
That's awesome.
Oh, he raps crappily. Jeffrey Candolo, DC's New Age of Heroes 2 Electric Boogaloo, but honestly, I hope more of them stick around past the 2 volumes. I know New Wonder Woman will. I have every confidence that New Wonder Woman will not only survive the rollback, but also the she's going to be integrated like wholeheartedly into this with only 1 issue out. Brandon Jatico finally got to catch a live show. Just wanted to show my support. Well, thank you very much, Brandon. You are showing your support, and you're doing a great job of it. Thank you very much for checking out the show, and we'll see you as we roll forward. Now, Witherspoon, thanks you guys for the email and the shout out on Twitter. Glad you guys enjoyed the rings. Next time, I'll have to make sure Amazon lets me do a gift message. Thank you, Niall, for your support.
Thank you so much.
If you haven't already seen it, the letters page came out yesterday. It's a show where we open up letters and packages from the audience. Niall was kind enough to send us the entire spectrum of lantern rings.
They're amazing.
They're amazing. They're next to the power battery. They're super fun. And So,
and thank you for letting us know. We don't always get to find out sometimes.
That's true.
If a message is lost along the way. So that is appreciated.
Yeah, exactly. what's it called? Raj Patel. Anyone else feel like Dan DiDio was breathing behind them after reading Future State? The Flash, also Future State, Wonder Woman, and Future State Swamp Thing were amazing. Good to know that you felt that way. Yeah, man. Well, Future State, the question is whether Future State is, I mean, like 5G was absolutely DiDio / the higher ups. It was made without love. It was made without like any kind of like personal stakes. It was just made for the corporation. So I can imagine that it's probably big time what it's going to be. But I think that now that these new creators have a chance to like infuse some of their own talent into these characters, you know, I think there's something there. John Jays, hi, what's up from London? Hope you're all good. You too, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's be honest, nothing from Future State is going to stick except a couple of Bat-related things. I bet none of the Bat-related things stay.
I guess the future state of us will know.
That's right, yeah. Oh, you mean the version of us that might be technically in the future, but more certainly will not be? Yeah.
Well, I just meant literally the future.
Oh, no, the literal future. We will know. Time will tell.
Yes.
Cam senses the Outsider story, specifically the double-page Katana splash in the next Batman, was worth the price of admission. Fair enough. I have
to put this away.
Yeah, that's gotta go.
Yeah, it's actually really like it a lot.
And Pricey 8040, fun fact, the natural enemies of spiders are clones.
It's true.
Apparently, because Miles Morales is getting the clone
You thought it was a goblin.
Yeah.
Because that's what every nature documentary has told you.
That's right. The natural enemy in the animal kingdom of the spider is the goblin.
Yeah. No, it's actually, it's true.
Yeah. So let's jump into some books. I'm going to say really quickly on the top, I read Amazing Spider-Man 56. 57 comes out next week, or literally in 2 days.
Yeah.
It's, of course, by Spencer and Bagley. I've been singing the praises of this arc for a while. I have to say, at the end of it, because this is technically the last, that was the last issue, and now they're doing the post-mortem next issue. This does not technically qualify as a story, as it does not have a beginning, middle, and end. It does not have a structure. It is just a bunch of stuff that happens and sets up more. So I will give it like a D.
Okay.
It was a colossal letdown and never actually does anything.
A D for donut?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it goes right in the file.
I love the fact that Spider-Man villains love tearing Spider-Man's suit apart.
Yes. Well, it's a good visual metaphor. They're splitting him in half, without it making it gory.
Yeah, it is. But they're just so mad at him. They're just...
Yeah. No, that's the cover. It's Osborn and Kingpin. Yeah.
Your Hobgoblin.
My Hobgoblin statue. Yes,
ripping.
Which was a gift from you. Thank you very much.
I was just trying to get a little shout out.
Well, that's great.
No, I was not.
Go to Instagram.com/ComicPOP Official. See me open that Hobgoblin statue that I got for the holidays, and or just watch the back issues in a month.
Yeah,
and you'll see him appear.
Yeah, no,
it's great.
For sure.
Such a great statue. It's disappointing. It's great to see Bagley back, but I remember when they first touted the Amazing Spider-Man relaunch with Spencer, and they were like, we got Ryan Otley, we got Pac Leeson, we got Nick Spencer. Fuck it, just give it to Bagley. And it's good because Bagley knows what he's doing, he does some great stuff, but you could tell that it wasn't written for Bagley. It was just I wrote this thing. It's this title is getting away from Spencer the way that I don't know.
Something.
Insert metaphor here. But it's certainly gotten away from him.
Page not found.
Yeah.
Error 404.
It just blue screened me. But yeah, so no.
Okay.
That's a big no for me. But yeah, check that out, I guess. It's, it could be better, is what I'm saying. Whoa Pudo, hi Tiff, hi Sal. Nothing pithy or funny for me to say today, but glad you're doing well. Keep the lights on. Thank you very much for your support, man.
Appreciate that.
So yeah, what else we got?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about? Do you want to start in the past or in the present? Future?
Yeah, I guess the present. What do you got?
Eternals came out.
Yes, Eternals number 1.
I was I don't know where we're going with this, so I'm just gonna have to
say.
Just
pick a book.
I'm
doesn't
say
matter.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eternals came out, written by Kieran Gillen with art by Asad Ribic.
Yep.
Am I correct about that? Yes,
yeah, you're
I
right.
am.
Yeah, that's right.
I read a couple of things this week, so give me a break, everybody.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
Yeah.
And by the way, apparently, I don't know if it's I wasn't at the comic book store this week. I bought all digitally this week. But I look for it in your comic book store, but also if you don't see it on Comixology, I picked up a free version of it called Eternals Never Die, Never Win, and it's just Ribick's pencils, like uncolored, and it's dope.
I know how much you love Ribick's pencils and prefer, like, when it comes to an artist like that, enhanced pencils.
I straight up do, and, like, it really does work. And, like, that's the thing with Ribick. Like, Ribick, there's, like, you know, he's not, like, a perfect panel artist. You know what I mean? Like, you'll get some panels that are rough, and you're like, woof. But
yeah, and it's kind of like it's jarring, but at the same time, you still recognize the inherent talent. That's there.
Because it's like they're rough, but it's like I know why it's rough because like then you go to the next page and it's like there's all the time went in right here. He's also not afraid to like draw people like looking realistic, and so they're not always the most like super attractive they can be.
Yeah, but he's not like concerned with making the most attractive people. He's concerned with giving you character.
No, it's true. There's like this great shot of Zuras sitting on a throne, and it just gives you some straight up like Thor, Conan vibe. Yep. It's very dope, very just loving it. So this is a book I'm sure not a lot of folk picked up because it's the Eternals.
No.
And this is a book that's probably out because there was gonna be a movie, and there's still gonna be a movie at some point, and it definitely sets up some changes that we're probably going to see reflected in that film. Like some gender changes and just some like status quo changes. But probably the last time you saw the Eternals was either when we've chatted about it, Neil Gaiman's version of the Eternals, or maybe you've read a little bit more of the Eternals and you remember when all the Eternals died.
Yes,
they all killed themselves because they found out that like
the Celestials are a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, well, it's funny because it's almost like an allegory for like angels and God and Christian, like, you know, lore, right? Where it's just like, oh, they found out they like the humans better.
Right.
And so they just...
And we're here for nothing.
Yeah, but because they're the Eternals, they can always come back thanks to the machine, and that's kind of where this is picking up. Now, here's the key to all of this. You don't have to know necessarily all of this to jump into this book.
No, well, they explain it to you. They're just giving it to you.
Gillen really does a stand-up job of, like, if you read it, you're going to pick up some stuff here and there and be like, oh yeah, like I remember that from this run, I remember that from this. But if you didn't read it, you're probably going to be okay.
Right.
But that is kind of Gillen's thing. Like, he's just a strong storyteller. And here's the thing about this book. The fact is, like, you may not care about the Eternals, but it's so well written that this might be a book you might enjoy.
Especially if you want to be on the ground floor of something that, like, not a lot of people know everything about.
This is going to possibly shape up to be one of those people where it's like, or one of these runs where it's like, how do I get into the Eternals? So it's like, you could pick up Gaiman's run of the Eternals, or you could pick up Gillen's run of the Eternals, depending on how this goes.
Pretty much every run, because there's another run between Gillen and Gaiman, but, like, again, it was not celebrated. It's not the one that they point to.
No, but for me, it always comes down to not necessarily the story, but for a group of characters like this, I think a lot of times it comes down to the storyteller.
Totally.
And how engaging they are. And Gaiman and Gillen have a specific, not that they're similar, but they have specific ways of writing. Yeah. And I find Gillen's work to be very engaging. Yes. Even though, like, I'm reading this thing and it's like, I like the Eternals, but, like, I'm not, like, uber excited about, like, their status quo like I am kind of over where the X-Men are right now. And still, this was an oversized issue and it went quickly. Yeah. Because he just writes it in such a flawless manner.
It was very engaging. I don't know. I think that ultimately, having read Gaiman and Gillen, I can safely say I'll never care about the Eternals. Like, I just find them so boring and so uninteresting that, like, I don't care. But, like, it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just like, I'll never... Okay.
I dig them.
I'll never like them.
I like them, especially in the way that Gillen is portraying them, especially post having learned that the Celestials don't care about them. Like, just being this, like, cog in this machine, honestly. And there was something called the Machine. And there is an infographic at the beginning that explains everything. I think it's just kind of the standard.
The Hickman effect
it has long-reaching branches and roots. But regardless, I had this moment reading this where I was like, this feels like what some of the more recent Inhuman runs were trying to do. And that's not to say that they weren't successful, and if you enjoyed them, great, but if you enjoyed those, you might enjoy this too, because it had that kind of vibe to it, where it's like, this is happening in the Marvel Universe, and we do see, like, Iron Man show up.
That's the same thing as Gaiman, remember? In Eternals of Gaiman, Iron Man shows up.
Iron Man shows up, he's got a thing for Cersei, and he repeats it here.
And he, like, confirms what era it's in.
Let's be honest, if you're a British writer, and you know Neil Gaiman wrote this, you think you're not going to reference that? Of course you're going to reference that. Like, that's going to happen. And there are fun little, like, references to other things that have happened, to some things that have happened in the Marvel Universe. Yep. Just kind of catching up some of these characters. who've just kind of recently woken up. But what for me with the Eternals, kind of like the Inhumans can be at times, where it's like they're in the Marvel universe and they may have interactions, but they're also kind of doing their own thing.
They're very separate.
They're over here and they're kind of doing stuff over here, and maybe it'll affect other things. Like certainly with the giant celestial back with like Game of Thrones, that certainly affected the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
But you can also just kind of read it.
Right.
And that's how this felt. This kicks off with like Icarus is woken back up.
Yep.
Like he was the last to die, and so he was the last to be brought back.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like in this the exclusion.
Yes.
Where he is contacted by Zurus, who's like, "Hey, it's time to wake up one of the
like exiled.
It's not exiled. It's something else. Is it exiled?
No, it's not.
I have the word version with no words on it. That doesn't help anybody right now.
Yeah.
I guess it is the excluded. He wants him to wake up one of the excluded.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially the idea is that like since the Eternals can always come back using the machine, that like if you do something so heinous that the Eternals as a whole are like, you're bad.
Right.
Like people we make mistakes. We're not gods. We make mistakes, and we have to live with those mistakes or not, because when we wake back up, a lot of what we remember, like a lot of our memories are wiped.
Yes.
But like if it's just you're a bad person, then we're going to put you in like these crystals, which means that you can't come back.
Yeah.
Right? Like Kronos is in there.
Yeah.
It's like if you sired Thanos, you're going in the crystals. If you're Sprite, you're going in the crystals. I thought was interesting because it's like Sprite technically died.
Yes.
But then Sprite was brought back.
Yeah.
And then Sprite went in the crystals.
Yeah, the leader of the Eternals himself.
Zurus like killed
Zurus murdered Sprite on a train.
Yeah, and left his body to be found. And Sprite is actually, the reason I bring up Sprite is because Sprite is the excluded that they want to wake up. When Sprite is woken up, by the way, this is where we're going to see one of those, like, changes. Sprite's a girl now.
Yep. Which
is, like, explained in a, like, I almost want to call it hand-wavy, but it's explained in such a matter-of-fact way by the character.
Yeah.
That it's just like, yeah, no kidding. Where it's like, that can happen, like, every X amount of years to kind of spice it up.
Yep, we switch it around.
Yeah, the Eternals have the right to change up some things about themselves.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I guess if you were being reborn over and over for, like, a million years, like, you might want the opportunity to try something else.
Yeah, it's an in-universe explanation for why they gender-bent characters in the movies and why we're trying to synergistically connect it with them.
Exactly, because the actor playing Sprite is a woman in the movie, so they're going to try to make this match up a little bit, sure. Sprite is a puckish character, literally, like, it is inspired by Shakespeare, and so, like, Sprite, you know, sets off to do mischief, right? It's chased by Icarus, ends up, I believe, in New York, where they run into Iron Man.
Yep.
And, like, Iron Man's like, you cool? Because, like, last time I saw you, you, like,
you
killed
were dead.
yourself.
You died.
You're in a pile of Inhumans.
Yep.
And they're like, we're cool. He's like, by the way, hey, you see Cersei? You just...
Tell her to call me.
I'm ready. I got time. My schedule.
I also love that, like, in the art for this, Rivik just went like, I'm just gonna draw my own Iron Man. Like, it doesn't line up with any other Iron Man. It's just like, I'm just gonna draw my own, like, Mobius-esque Iron Man.
Yeah, I don't care. Who cares? Whatever.
And it's cool. I'm like, yay, look at that. It looks cool.
Yeah. While Iron Man's there, they get, like, whammied with, like, a message from the machine that's, like, there's a deviant, and so, like, they have to deal with it. And, like, typically the deviants aren't really a problem. They're just another race of beings on the planet, but occasionally one of them is monstrous and huge. And, like, this is kind of interesting because it's, like, the computer or, like, the machine itself is kind of the, like, omniscient narrator for all of this. And, like, that's neat because they are all-knowing, especially for the history of the Inhumans.
Totally.
But also, like... they can be everywhere and see everything. And so they bring up the fact that it's like, do you condemn an entire race of people because every once in a while one of them's a monster? Because it's like, for humans, we could say that you have serial killers.
Right,
so
exactly.
Like,
so we could just condemn the entire human race.
Yeah, so essentially they go and have a big cool fight, and they get rid of the deviant. They make a, like, mention of the fact that, like, you know, hey, computer, note the fact that it's like this deviant was like trying to like extend its life by like eating human brain matter. And like Sprite's like, that's interesting. And he's like, oh, actually, you might really enjoy like this television show. There's a couple of like, you know, there's a monster in human lore that like does that, and you might enjoy a couple of like TV shows.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, what's a TV show? I'm like, that's funny because Sprite had his own show in the Game and Run. Also, nice little Walking Dead nod there, cute. So then they go off to Olympia, where they're meant to meet Zuros, and when they get there, Zuros is dead.
Yes.
He's been murdered.
Because Zuros is played by a woman in the movies, so we have to have him come back as a woman.
Sure, but it's also just a really dope image. Because like Zuros is like was sitting on his throne,
and he looked really dope, and he's in a similar pose. So it's like he made that call, and then was murdered immediately.
And like there's this cool open like fire things nearby, and it's like, oh, we run into Durig.
Yeah,
is that how you say his name?
I don't know.
It's in the next page.
Okay.
There he is.
Druig, yeah.
But who we saw again in Gaiman's thing, where he's kind of a they describe him as a snake, and I'm like, that's very apropos.
Yeah.
But essentially he's like, yeah, he was murdered. Like the murder weapon seems to be a big hand.
Yep.
That like crushed his head.
Yeah.
And they assume that Sprite had something to do with it, and then Sprite convinced Icarus to kill Zuros, and he's like, no. But, like, the fact is that, like, he'll be brought back, and so then they'll just ask him who killed him, and that'll be that. And, like, Icarus is, like, impatient, as always, and is like, no, let's not do that. Like, we'll go find out. Let's go to Titanos, which is, like, the old-school moon planet thing where the first Eternal City was, that was destroyed, and now it, like, exists between time.
Yeah.
Like, in these, like, moments between time, like, is this dimension where, like, you go there, and it's, like, simultaneously, the past is happening, I guess the present and the future. Icarus sees a vision of himself praying at, or like, not praying, but like lamenting, apologizing at the grave of Toby Robson. I was right the first time. I didn't think I said it right. And he's like, this hasn't happened yet. I don't know who that is.
But he won't die.
Yeah. Like
he already pledges to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, he's like, I'll fix this. But like, interesting, like, I don't know this person. Cool. We're setting something up. Let's move on. So they're kind of wandering through here, and it's like clear that they're I thought that what they were doing was they're clearly trying to peek into the past to possibly see who had done this, but they were also like following whoever they thought, because they're like, who would go through here? Who would stay here?
Yep.
Like, what crazy person would do that? And the answer is it's Thanos.
Yep.
Or what we think to be Thanos. Who knows? You know what I mean?
It's great, because I haven't seen Ribic draw Thanos in a long time.
It's dope. It looks amazing. Like I said, this is the Eternals, and so I know I'm kind of like preaching to a choir of folk who may not be all in on this, but like I think the writing and the art is so good that I think it's worth a look. And again, I know this was an oversized issue and therefore had a slightly higher price tag, so maybe wait until it goes on sale or it's like in a bin someplace, you know what I mean? But like, I say at least check it out, because like I said, like, if you're interested in the Eternals at all and you didn't want to read the Gaiman series, like this might be the series for you to kind of get your foot wet.
Yeah.
Getting like stellar writing. You're getting like a top tier artist, in my opinion. I like his work so much.
Yeah.
And it'll kind of put you on like a footing to jump into the movie if you want to.
It's true.
I like it. I'm gonna keep reading it, but that's all I got.
That's true. Yeah, it's a good recommend.
Yeah.
I read, getting a little bit into the future, I read Superman of Metropolis.
Okay.
I read the Trinity this week. I read Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman. I did not read Flash because I heard it was a waste of my time.
You told me you only read Superman and Batman.
I did read Wonder Woman. Oh. So anyway, yeah. So, Superman of Metropolis, I remember hearing, like, a lot of stuff about this. It's John Kent as Superman. Tim doing his thing. Clark's gone. Why? We don't know. It's written by Sean Lewis with art by John Timms. And it's just, let's look at what John Kent Superman is all about and what his story would be. And so, it's like kind of the future, and John's dealing with like a new type of Brainiac thing that is an antagonist slash a more like ball of mouths that is like the culmination of slash result of like a battle with Brainiac. And it's just this book is such a pass. The idea is that like the Metropolis, you remember that story where Iron Man uses his Extremis and turns it into like a social media app? Well, there's like a similar thing where like technology, and it's like Cyberpunk meets nothing, where like the people of Metropolis are integrated with technology, and the technology of course is like from a bad source that doesn't have altruism at their core, and so but they don't care because it's convenient or like it augments them in some way, and the government, like the U.S. government, is like really against this technology and this AI that they're dealing with, and things are going to get really bad. It's very quick and it's very hand wavy, but ultimately John's decision is to just Kandorize Metropolis, and so he shrinks down Metropolis, turns into a bottle city to protect it from everyone. He bumps into Supergirl, and the two of them have like a fight because she's being mind controlled by the mouth ball. She gets freed from the mind control, and then they like fight aliens. This book sucks. It's all over the place. It's set in the future, a future we don't know and have no context for. It throws like a lot of information at you, none of which is relevant because the book's going to end soon and it's in a future that doesn't matter. So like the stakes are not really that high, and the connection is not there. And like John is a John who was never really like around. This is like a new character because he's been Superman so long that we've never experienced this John before, and he's not through the lens of our protagonist Superman, so we don't even know like what you know what I mean? Like I don't even know who this is. Right. Because I was never part of his journey. It'd be like if you read Amazing Fantasy 15 and then we're given like the latest issue of Spider-Man. Right. Like, who is this guy? He's totally different. And he has totally different character motivations, and he does very different things. And without the context, it's like morally questionable. Right. It sounds more like they had this premise and they were like, ooh, and that was what they had over like, oh, I have this really cool direction for John, or I have this really cool idea. And like maybe the idea was because it was written clearly like months ago, if not a year ago. And so maybe the context for that was like, I was going to do like, I gave you all this shit and I'm going to like pay it all off over a period of months or years. And it's like, well, that's not going to happen anymore. So I'm judging it based on it being like a 4-issue miniseries, 3 of which I will never read. Right. Because I don't care. And I found no characters endearing or interesting. Okay. There was no ride-along character outside of like, your ride-along character is John because you like him. And I'm like, but I don't know who that is. That's not enough. That's not enough. The art's fine. It's standard comic book stuff. Sure. There's nothing bad about it at all. The coloring's good too. It's just like, it's a superhero comic book. You could have literally changed like all the logos and made it, it would like, anyone put this out.
Yeah, it's funny too that they would put this out at the same time they're doing a digital Super Sons. Yeah. Where it's like, hey, we're also giving you everything you want over here. Yeah. And like not at the same time.
Yeah. It's like no. From what I remember about hearing it from a DC insider, like they had this great idea. They were like, gay Wonder Woman, black Batman, and we don't care about Superman because he doesn't sell. So I guess John. Like that was their approach. And so it's like, if you have no plan, even if it's a plan of like, man, insert news outlet's gonna like blow us up for writing these like specific things, then you're gonna have stories where John shrinks Metropolis for no reason, and he fights Supergirl, who I guess is also Superwoman in the Future State series, but is like in a different time. Like whatever. So it's a disappointment. Okay. But it doesn't matter, and no one's like reading it because if you look at like the sales, out of all the Future State books on Comixology at least, it's hilariously low. Like the number one book according to Comixology this past week was Star Wars because the High Republic came out, which I did not read. No. Which was a mistake, apparently.
Well, here's the thing about that. We when we talk about Star Wars, it doesn't make anybody happy, so...
Yep, there's no point in wasting my time.
Well, it's not even a waste of time. Then it's like, just like, we don't want to make you guys upset.
No, but Death Metal obviously ended. That was the second highest. It's not surprising. Then the next Batman book, because that's how it works. Yep. If you have 4 Batman books coming out a month...
Wow, Eternals cracked the top 10?
Eternals was number 5 of the top 5 best-selling digital books at Comixology. Then
Good for you, Kieran.
Yeah. Then the 2 X-Men books, Thor, obviously, because Donny Cates, and then number 9 was Superman.
Yeah.
Still top 10, but like, like Flash did not place.
No.
Ironically.
No.
But yeah, but it's still pretty bad. Like Superman just sells bad. Especially if it's like a direction no one asked for.
Well, I think too, like, Superman's been suffering a little bit, and so like folk.
This was not the thing to get people on.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like I know they're gonna be changing who's writing it.
Yes. Philip Kennedy Johnson is taking over Superman after this.
Yeah, and regardless of how you might feel about that, it's interesting that this is like almost a palate cleanser.
Yes.
And it isn't really.
No, because it expects a lot from you, and it gives you very little. So Superman and Metropolis is a pass. I wouldn't waste your time. But like, if I could say anything good about it, like, it's really ambitious. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Rab L, been on the back issues binge. Great content through and through. On another note, somehow 5 years will play a big part in whatever DC's doing. They always like their 5 years and they're number 52.
They got a binder.
Yeah, that's right. 5-year plan. Cam says, was going through some old 90s back issues, and damn it, Bagley only gets better with age. He is the Spider-Man artist. I gotta agree with you. You know?
But I hope he embraces it.
Yeah.
It's not always true for artists.
That's true.
So that's awesome.
Ben Wilson looking forward to 2 weeks' time when international fans get their issues of Death Metal and First Future States.
Oh.
That's stupid. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You should get them digitally like everybody else.
Yeah, for sure.
Patrick Lawson, Tiff and Sal, love the letters page. It was so funny. Love the X-Men.
Yay!
Thanks, Pat. Mr. Roboto, is it time to bring back the Jackal? I say no. But I'll let you be the judge.
What about the tarantula?
The tarantula, there's always time for tarantula. Super Pooper, you once mentioned meta reading, and I feel I can't stop doing that with DC for the last few years. I don't want to think of editors in Warner Brothers while reading these stories. At least I can immerse in Hulk and X-Men.
Yeah, we'll get into that at some point, like while we're talking about this, because I definitely had that moment this week.
Yeah.
For some books, and for other books, not so much.
Yeah. Christian Pereira, hi. Hello.
Hi.
I think the most of the excluded are Thanos' family, like Thanos, Eros,
Yes.
Alars, Susan, Kronos, and Uranos.
Yeah.
Great uncle. Don't know who the H may be.
No, for sure. No, you're absolutely right about that. It's just so funny. It's like
they made Thanos so you don't get resurrected.
I'm sure there's other reasons too, but
we know.
It's just funny.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, oh, that sucks.
Right?
And Sprite. And that's what I mean. Like he did do. It was not good what he did.
No,
at all. But yeah.
Radical Radish. Hey guys, can't stay long, but wanted to share some love to celebrate both my birthday and the end of another bloated DC event. Cheers, population. Cheers to you too, and happy birthday.
Happy birthday. I hope you're celebrating it safely.
Yeah. So since Death Metal ended, we'll do that last.
Okay.
You want to talk about Swamp Thing?
I was gonna touch on Harley real quick.
Please. Yeah, do Harley.
I read Harley Quinn because Sal got all of them, and
I bought them all.
We kind of split them up a little bit, so
yeah.
I did that. It's written by, it's like down there. Hang on, we're zooming. Enhance by Stephanie Phillips with art by Simone DeMeo.
Yes, how was this? Because I immediately am struck by the art. I love the cover.
So this book has a real, like, this looks like it could be an anime feel to it. But the book is kind of like Gotham meets like Dexter meets like Silence of the Lambs, kind of, except without the eating people thing.
Okay.
But like they live in a world where like they've outlawed Batmans and like masks and stuff like that, and so there's a government thing called the Magistrate. That's in Batman. That carries over. There you go. That I didn't read Batman this week because I read Eternals. So essentially it's like that's kind of what's been dealing with crime, and like freaking Dr. Crane is like reformed. Okay. And so like he's not the Scarecrow anymore. All right. And he has like they've got Harley Quinn. And like essentially he's trying to like convince her. He's like, "Listen, you suck. And like if you participate in helping us capture other criminals, then like maybe we can make a trade." Okay. So that's where I get like the Hannibal like Lecter thing where it's like, if you help us catch this, quid pro quo. Yeah, quid pro quo. you can get a window with a view.
Yes.
That kind of thing, where it's like, we're like, reduce your restrictions, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, they really don't have to do anything. Like, they've got her and it doesn't really matter.
Right.
And the fact is, he's like, there's really nothing you can do that will like help. Honestly, I don't even know why. Like, I was told to offer this, but like,
she's like a doctor.
Well, but he's like, and so am I, and I'm better than you. Like, we caught you.
That's fun, actually, to see Crane and Quinn, because I never see those two together.
Yeah, and like, he's just like, but I'm better than you, so I don't really know what you're gonna be able to assist us with here. And like, the first task is like Professor Pig, and there's like almost something like vaguely Suicide Squad about this, except she doesn't go on missions so far.
Okay.
Like, she's just like, they go to the cell. And, like, he's like, all right, you got nothing to offer, fine. She goes to leave, and he's like, or she's like, okay, so it's like, this is what's going on. And she explains how to catch him. Okay. And that, like, there's clearly, like, he wants you to see what he's doing. Because, like, obviously he's, like, taking people, and, like, every time they try to catch him, he grabs their security force and then sends them back. Okay. Like, mutilated and Frankensteined up, as she calls it. And he's like, he is trying to show you his art. Right. He's not doing it to get away from you. He's like, look at this. Look at what I'm doing. She's like, the way you catch him is by getting to his ego. And so what you need to do is basically fake a creation of his or make a creation of his. It's dubious on how this occurs. And then like report on it and say he did it, but make it so that it's like something he'd never do. Like something out of
very
place.
Like garish or lame.
Yeah. And he'll come to you.
Sure.
And he does. And so they catch him.
That's cool.
And he's like, well, that worked, but like that could have just been luck.
Okay, Crane. Yeah.
Right.
But we'll see what happens next issue.
Yeah. And so the next one is, I think it's Firefly. Yeah. Well, because she mentions all the other fire-based ones, because she kind of goes off on a tangent.
Firefly, Firebug, Heatwave.
Yeah, all of them. And so like she comes up with a way in which to catch him as well, and that like the reason we know who he is behind the mask is because like he only hits places that are sentimental to him. And so like, that's what you need to do. You need to like, trick him by like having a facility that is sentimental to him. Yes. And like Crane's like, oh, he's an orphan, we could reopen his orphanage. Oh, sure. And so that's what they do. And then like they like the police work with the fire department to get gear from them so they could take him down. Right. And so then like basically like Crane's like, all right, you've proved yourself, come with me. Like, we're off, because the biggest issue is Black Mask, because like Crane has been after Black Mask and not able to catch him, and it's a real sore spot for him. Okay. And there's something clearly going on there, and like Crane says he's like reformed, but I don't know if he really is. Yeah. And like the security force they're working with, the magistrate, is like, not everybody knows that he used to be Scarecrow. Right. And so you got a couple of cops talking about it, and they're like, hey, do you know, like, Crane actually used to be Scarecrow? They're like, what? You know what I mean? Because like one of them mentions something about like Black Mask, and he gets really upset. Yeah. So clearly we're gonna be doing that. We do see Black Mask at one point. Like there's a couple of like punks robbing a store and they're wearing Black masks, and then they get pinched by the Black Mask gang. Okay. And like essentially it's like, you don't wear that mask. Mm-hmm. That's not what we are. We don't commit like petty crimes. Mm-hmm. We do real crime. And like by you wearing that, it's an insult. And the guy's like, I'm so sorry. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, no, it's not good. That's not enough. That's not enough. Just blam. Mm-hmm. And so like clearly like they're just out to get Black Mask. Is this really a Harley Quinn book?
It's more like a stealth Scarecrow book.
It is, and it's also kind of like, like a police procedural sort of kind of book. It's like 2 issues. What are you gonna do? The art style is very stylized, very different. Like I said, like there were moments in this where I was like, I could completely see this animated. Oh, totally. And it would be really, really cool. And like it is definitely doing something like you've not seen before, in like a Harley book or in like a DC mainstream story. So that might appeal to you. Yeah. It's pretty tightly written. It's just whether or not you care about that. Like it's a different side. It's using Harley's like, past being a psychologist to like solve these crimes, and like obviously they're gonna have to kind of wrap this up, so who knows what's gonna happen in the next issue. It was interesting to jump into this world, considering I hadn't read Batman. I really wasn't lost in terms of like setting up
what the magistrate was.
I was like, okay, cool, got it, nailed it, moving on. Yeah. So I say it's up to you if you're interested in it. Like I said, for me, I dug the art style, so like I really enjoyed that, but it may not be your cup of tea. I don't know.
Yeah. That's cool. That's fair.
Thanks.
I was attracted to the art.
It's
looks good.
very different.
Yeah.
And they definitely do that like trope with Crane where like he's got the round circular glasses, so sometimes
You
it's
don't
just
see his eyes.
Yeah, it's just
they're like light.
Yeah, it's just yeah.
Okay. Let me see. Kevin Kruger says, "Are there any older books that you didn't read but now want to? I'm reading Kingpin and Young All Stars."
Always, I've got like a stack.
Right. That's the problem. Is that there's too many. But yeah, man. I don't know. As far as I like to go back and try and read like old Daredevils and stuff because I, found some new love for the character and such.
I tend to grab like there's like random things I'll really randomly gravitate towards. Like like occasionally I'm just like I'll run into like a DC Elseworlds.
Yes.
And I'm like, ooh. You're like, why?
Right.
I'm like, I don't know.
Don't you try? None of these books hooked me. Maybe it's just me, but when a new character takes over an established mantle, that they're not just thrown into a crazy world-changing scenario like Superman John.
That's fair. I think some of these books were pretty successful in terms of making me feel like it was an ultimate universe for DC.
And that would be a good idea.
Not all of them were, but like some of them I was like, oh, this is like a pitch for this. It's also interesting because I read Wonder Woman first, and that's where I most felt it.
Sure.
Yeah,
that feels like it.
That felt like I was like, this
Wonder
is
Woman.
the ultimate universe pitch for DC.
Yes.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Then I read some of the other ones, like, sure, maybe you could do that with Harley.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know if that really fits. But anyway, moving on.
Mr. Roboto, Swamp Thing by Gaslight, Spectre by Gaslight. I don't know if that's just a pitch or something, but fair enough. Moon Knight 32 just got a big promotion today. Congratulations! I wanted to say thanks for the content to make the days a little better. Much appreciated. Also, USPS took forever, but it seems the Dr. Doom figure I sent finally arrived. Thank you very much, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And congratulations.
And, serious congrats on that. Enjoy
Seriously.
it. And I don't know what it is that you're doing, so hopefully it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
Well earned.
So I read the next Batman. I was marginally hyped for this because, like, one, I've said on record, I don't care who's I don't care about Batman if it's not like standard, like template, whatever. Like if it's not Gordon, Alfred, Bruce, I'm not interested.
Right.
So I'm not interested.
Okay.
But it is written by John Ridley, and it's drawn by Nick Darrington, or at least the first half is.
Mm-hmm.
Because it also has a story called Outsiders and Arkham Knights, which like explains why the book is super long. I stopped reading it after the Darrington stuff because I was like, oh, another goddamn backup. Pass. And then everyone's like, oh man, didn't you read all the stuff about blah blah blah? And I'm like, no. And then I look back, I'm like, oh, there's a whole other book in here. But I did read this, the part that DC wanted to get you crazy about, which was, hey, look, it's this character that had existed a long, long time ago that we're bringing back, so you don't just go, why did you make Batwing Batman? I feel like the best thing about this is Darrington's art. Thanks to you, introduced me to Darrington on Doom Patrol. I fell hard for his art style and love Batman universe because it is exactly what I asked for, but with a fun twist. This is setting up a lot of stuff. Again, irrelevant, but it's Gotham. Magistrate's in charge. Bruce Wayne is presumed dead. Masks are outlawed. The whole thing is an allegory for like being black in an urban setting. I get that. And I'm glad that it is like competently made, because that kind of message or the expectation of like doing this kind of like Batman relaunch while also trying to like say something personal or public is a hard tightrope to walk. And I think Ridley did a nice job of doing it. That being said, there's a lot of and not a lot of world building in this book. Where like we see glimpses of the world, the Gotham that has been created by Ridley, but through the lens of somebody who is like street level and who technically should be running this place because it's Batman, but is on like the receiving end of the law.
Right.
And so we're not getting like the deets. We're just getting like the images of like cops being bad.
Right. Well, they only have so many. Like they know that this is like what is it, like 2 issues.
Well, they didn't know that when they wrote it.
Right, but they might have had to go back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like I give these books a little more leeway knowing that they're short and like anytime you have a one shot, like they're not always the tightest thing because it's like there's only so much story you can tell sometimes. Anyway, get.
But there's a subplot about two brothers. They join Bane's gang.
I'm sorry, Rick and Morty has just ruined that. You said two brothers.
Two brothers. It's just two brothers. It's just called Two Brothers. And but yeah, they're like one brother's in, the other one's like less in. Okay. They're trying to like sell the whole idea of, you know, it being family. It's an allegory for Tim and Luke, who are like brothers that don't, you know, that have differing ideologies. Okay. The Bane masks look like a lot of fun, thanks to Nick Darrington's art. You know, Lucius is in the hospital. Oh no, their sister's in the hospital. Oh. And you know, like Tim is not welcome there because there's been some bad blood. And, you know, it's just like whatever. You lose momentum like halfway through this thing. The art is again beautiful. There's a sequence in which like Tim Batman takes down the car that is driven by Banes, who are trying to like initiate the young brothers.
Right.
And Batman takes them down, but also like has sympathy for these two kids.
Right.
And like shows them like, you know, listen, if you wear these masks, they will kill you. Like it's, you know, it's a perfect like if you wear these things, the cops will shoot first and ask questions later. So he like tries to, you know, he saves them, he rescues them, and then like and it sets it up for the next thing. But hey, listen, if you want to see Katana with a jetpack, read the next story, because apparently that was the only thing anybody wanted to talk about when it came to the Outsider story. Again, it was just
like
kind of like,
yeah,
but with a sword.
Admittedly cooler.
It is admittedly cooler, yes. But yeah, no, I mean, like, the color palette's beautiful. The image of like of Tim Batman is like admittedly dope.
I would like to read this just because it's like I honestly like didn't make room for this on my reading schedule because, and I should have, because it's like I read the rest of Tynan's Batman and you didn't, and I was like I just needed a break, but it's like that is a break.
It's a very big break.
And I should have picked it. Like I should have made time, and I will make time to read it because like I'm interested to see like the different takes on these Future State books.
Yeah, because they all have very different tones.
Yeah, and I do love Darrington's art, and yeah, I mean like at least this one does come out of something that we're already like, you know, knowledgeable of in the main continuity.
Totally.
So it's like that's kind of neat.
So, I will say there's something really great about it. Again, like because Ridley's Ridley. You know, we read the other history of the DC universe. It's good. You know, it's the same as this. It's like that's pretty good. You know, cool, good for you. But Darrington and his art in this book, you don't even need to read it. He's that good of a storyteller.
No, he is.
You should. It's not like the words are dumb.
No, but
it's just like, but like what's cool is you can do that thing that our artist friend does, where he reads a comic book by looking at the pages and then maybe he'll read it.
Right.
And it's like, you could do that. You could literally pull all the text out of this book.
Right.
And you get the story.
Right.
And I'm like, that's kind of cool and hard to do.
It is. But like, I am like, I do want to check it out. You know, I kind of dig this costume. It's neat.
It is neat.
It's my one issue with it. And like, I noticed it for the first time recently. Was that like his belt almost has little like vampire fangs on the front of it?
They're like, nah.
I'm like, why?
I don't know.
It's funny. But it's dope. But like, I think it's also kind of cool to have an opportunity to like bring some of these issues to light with a main DC pillar character.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of cool.
Well, especially in a book that has always been cop friendly.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, sometimes, I mean,
when you read a Batman book, like, you don't trust the normal GCPD, but Gordon's cool. And anybody that Gordon vouches for is cool.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah.
I will say that the cops have never sounded more real in a Batman book than they do in this.
All right. Well,
that's cool.
I'm looking forward to checking it out.
It is a, like, I would be very interested to see what, like, the year-long plan was for this series.
Yeah, and that does like suck knowing that like some of these creators are writing this for the long haul, and then it was like, hey, take that and cut it down to like 2 issues.
Hey, actually, it's not, and you're fired.
Yeah,
but like not all of you. You know, like Yoel Jones is not fired because of how successful that book was. But William Golden says, "Sup guys, this is off topic. But have you ever thought about that characters like the Externals and Peacemaker would be in any other media than a mention in comics? No.
No.
But here they are.
Yeah, right?
And now we know. Like, anything can be a thing.
Anything goes.
Dan V900, half of the next Batman being backup sucked with the $5 price point. Love Darrington's art. This will be 4 issues.
Oh, it's 4 issues.
Okay.
Go. That's fair because they get a little more.
That's an arc.
Yeah.
That's a trade.
Maybe more of them. Maybe no. Some of them are only one of, or like I saw like 1 of 2. And
yeah,
like 2
some of them are 2 and some of them are 4. But
that's fair that like a pillar book would get that space. Yeah. Anyway,
I can't justify buying any more issues if half the content's backups. Most people would say that it isn't a backup because they loved that stuff. Again, I was there for the new writer and Darrington.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the reason to buy the book. And if you're telling me half the book ain't that, well, then 100% of the book ain't for me.
Yeah.
Like, Nike Skater 100 able to catch live due to catching COVID. I'm sorry to hear that you caught that.
Sorry.
Hopefully your symptoms are mild and your recovery is speedily.
Yes.
I've been watching for years. Thank you for your countless hours of entertainment and getting me back into comics. Well, welcome back, man, and enjoy as much as you can, and just recover soon.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so that's a thing. What else?
Hellions came out.
Hellions!
I'm gonna take a break from DC for like a quick minute.
There's not a lot. There's like only the X-Men books, I think, outside of Eternals.
I wanted to read Return of the Valkyries for King in Black because it's written by Jason Aaron and deals with the Valkyries, and I love when Jason Aaron talks about Thor lore.
Yep. Floor.
And it seemed like when I kind of peeked into it to be dealing with the Century and the aftermath of that, considering the fact that they're meant to like bring spirits on to Valhalla, I was like, that's dope.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Didn't get a chance to read it, but I'm going to. It's right here. But I did read Hellions because I'm just that person who reads Hellions.
You like Hellions?
I do love Hellions. I do. I don't know why. Why do I like Hellions?
People like Dog Welder. What do you want?
It's just something about it. I'm like, yes, I'm in. More Hellions, written by Zeb Wells with art by Steven Segovia. For sure. For sure. Last time we left the Hellions, remember, they brought back Wild Child, Orphan Maker, and Nanny. Wild Child...
He's a man.
Yeah, he's a man. He's a man now.
He's not a
wild man.
He's not like a feral boy. Yeah.
And Nanny are back, but they're like super aggressive and at like the apex of like their potential, essentially, after dying over in
Otherworld.
Not Otherworld, on the other side.
Oh, Araco?
Yeah, they died over there.
So wait, if you die in Araco, you're changed too?
If you die in Araco, you come back at like the pinnacle.
Oh.
If you die in Otherworld, sorry. Huh. You're out of luck.
That's funny because
they should kill Cable over there, and then
he won't be young anymore. He'll be back to being old. I will say that's interesting because Apocalypse / Genesis is all about the evolutionary next step,
right?
So the influence of Apocalypse, like Araco, is their realm.
Yeah, right.
That's interesting.
So they're all like alpha dogs, right? And so like. Orphan Maker came back, but they can't like give him his consciousness and let him go because remember he has like a power that nobody knows what going to do, but they're all terrified of, and it could ruin everything for everybody.
Sure.
And like he needs his suit that Nanny has to make, but he doesn't have that suit right now. Nanny needs to make one, but she needs her ship, and her ship was confiscated.
Yeah. So
they got it. Like so, Sinister's like, yeah, my guys will go get it because Sinister's a dip.
Yeah.
And I hate him. Just like everybody does. But like, yeah, you love to hate him. You love to hate him. Him and his cloaks and his 12,000 versions of him.
Yeah.
But anyway, remember the fact that they were caught by Cameron Hodge?
Vaguely.
Right? Who was like a mutant hater who was brought back and like it was like supposedly the techno organic. Whatever,
yes.
Right. He's part, going on there.
Yeah.
He's very like, seemingly like, religious and like he has like sermons in a way and like, he's got like robots with him and they're going to fight. And that's kind of what they do. I love this issue.
Yeah.
I love this issue because of how like exciting, fun, and pointless it is. And they totally do everything they need to do, but the way in which it's accomplished is just completely this team.
Right.
And that's what I love about this.
Yeah.
Because it is straight up consistent and true to what it is they're doing with this.
Right.
Loved it.
Cool.
So essentially like Cameron is like, or Hodge is like, hey, Like, you know, you guys suck and I hate mutants and I'm gonna kill all you and it's gonna be awesome. And as he's like doing like his monologue, Wild Child and Nanny just run past him.
Oh,
they're like, "Ships in the back, let's go." And he's like,
"Oh,
I'm like doing a thing.
I'm like a tenth of the way through.
What? Mm-hmm. So then like you just have, you know, Empath and Havoc and Crow and Psylocke there, and like he's like.
Quinn and Psylocke, right? Yeah, because Betsy's not Psylocke, and,
yes,
and also like dead.
Yeah, like, you know, Psylocke wearing her like real Psylocke costume, like the one that everybody loves because it's super hot.
No doubt. With
like, you know, the leggings and the straps.
There is no other Psylocke costume. There are at least two more, but we all know which one we like. The Jim Lee, Andy Kubert one.
Yeah, except it's a lot less purple.
Oh, that's too bad. You gotta dial up the purple.
She looks good.
It's mostly
Betsy's taking the purple.
They like the blue. Yeah,
Betsy's taking the purple. That's what she got out of
the focus totality of her psychic abilities is in a psi knife that is very purple. So you know.
She's using a katana right now.
Oh.
So regardless, like basically it's like they're gonna have a big fight.
Yeah.
And they do. And Empath is like, okay, we're fighting robots who don't have minds.
So let's go for it.
Bye. And he just runs away.
Oh, because of the Sentinels?
Because he's like, I can't do anything.
Oh, right.
Well, wait, what do I buy? He just leaves.
Yeah.
They're like, cool.
Well, okay.
Okay. Well, let's go, team.
Yeah. Go team.
So like they're really capable like of them. Go for it, and they're like just taking down robots left and right, but inevitably the robots do get the drop on them, right? Because they have like they use collars to like kind of dampen their abilities, but then they get shot off and it doesn't matter. They got their abilities back and it's all cool and
sweet.
Meanwhile, by the way, the robots have like hilarious like
affectations, like they say things.
Yeah, well, because they're part of like a Hodge mind.
They say like Roger and stuff.
No. They have like, you know, they're part of this like Hodge mind. It's like a hive mind, but it's his.
Yeah.
So they call it the Hodge mind.
Okay.
Right? And so like they like say things like blasphemous thought, : and then they have like they say their thought out loud.
Okay.
So it's just funny, you know, Nanny and Wild Child make it to her ship. She gets on board. Nanny sees something and is like, "Oh, you're here? We don't see what it is, and we won't find out in this issue."
Oh no!
I'm like, that's dope. Like Wild Child's like, "What took you so long?" When she gets up to the cockpit, she's like, "Oh, I was just checking on something. It's cool. Don't worry about it. We're good. Let's leave." Empath is captured by the robots as he was fleeing. He's brought back. It's funny because he's just like, you know, give you a hard time about it, and they're like, "That's a lie." He's like, "You guys are narcs." He's like, "They're like, there was no fight at all." He's
nice.
like. So he tries to use his powers on Hodge.
Oh.
He's like, wait, you have control over the robots. If I have control over you, I'm golden, right?
Yes.
So he tries to do that, and like Hodge grabs him by the mouth and like cracks his neck.
Oh.
And like he's just laying on the ground. And
awesome.
Then like, the team's like, oh, he's not getting up from that.
Yeah.
Ooh. But he's still alive. And he just starts laughing. And like Hodge is like, what are you laughing at? And she's like, oh my God, there's nothing there. Like, I couldn't get into your thoughts. And he's like, yeah, my dad took care of that for me. He protects me from that. He brought me back and he protects me. And he's like, you're a robot, you idiot. You're the same as them. And he's like, no.
Aw.
And no, screw this guy. Screw this guy.
Okay.
So he's just having a great like laugh about it. And then Hodge turns to the other robots who he has control over, who are really their own like sentient kind of thing, right? They should be at least.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm Cameron Hodge. And they're like, am I? And the robots are like, Cameron Hodge is not here right now. And he's like, but okay, wait, you can't hurt Cameron Hodge. Fire at me. And they just shoot the hell out of him. And like he's like part Terminator at this point.
Yeah.
And like, you know, he's like, and Pat's like in the background not helping. He's like, I can't believe you did that. You're so dumb. Oh my God. Like, what's the matter with you?
It's so sad.
It is kind of sad. And then like he just explodes. And then because of that, the robots who could easily kick the Hellions' asses essentially are like, you freed us from that. We were slaves of him. So thank you. And like the team's like,
you're welcome?
Question mark? Yay, we did it?
Yeah.
We didn't really do
No, you didn't do anything.
So they get picked up and essentially like, oh, empath like, dies. They're like, healing gardens or hatchery.
Right.
And he's not moving anymore. They're like, hatchery it is.
That's funny.
Awesome. Another win
for the Hellions.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn.
But
how harsh.
Yeah. And it's no, that's right. We do see what it is at the end. I apologize. It's like a creepy baby.
Oh.
So
creepy baby.
That's it. So it's cool. It also like it sets up another kind of cool thing, which may only be paid off in this series, but that the fact that like Wild Child and Nanny feel as though Amenth is not done with them. The forces of Amenth from Araco.
Yeah.
They're not done with us.
Okay.
They're coming back.
Cool.
I was like, oh, okay.
Well, all right.
Sounds awesome. This book for me is like, can be gory and gritty and like it doesn't pull punches and it's just action packed. The art is great. It has like that like very like comic book feel, but like it fits completely in with like the tone they've been using for the X-Men, but it's just fun too. It's like it's also like, wink.
Yeah, right.
Wink.
Yeah, that's
like
fun with
this
the
is our Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Here they are.
But they actually die though.
Yeah, they actually die and they can actually come back.
Yeah.
Well, Suicide Squad does die.
That's true.
But they just don't necessarily come back in an egg. So cool.
Neat.
Yeah.
Right. Hellions.
Yeah.
Be a couple of super chats I want to jump on. Ozzy Albor, big fan of the new Eternals. I would love to see Rivik on Superman. Him with a great writer would kill it. Love you guys and the channel. Thank you, Ozzy. Yeah, man, Rivik doing Superman would be great.
Oh, that's right. Yes, and Havoc kills one of the robots because don't forget, robots and X-Men
don't mix.
They're not.
Yeah.
We don't. We don't want them.
Yeah. But yeah. And thank you for watching so long, man.
Oh, yes. No, thank you.
Jason says, some money for you guys. Love this channel. Hope you're well. We are well. Thank you very much, Jason, for your generosity. We really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. And yeah, well, keep watching. So yeah, what's next? We got a couple more books left to go. At least 3. So what do you want to start with?
We have 3.
Yeah, Swamp Thing, Wonder Woman, and
let's talk about Swamp Thing. It was good. It's written by Ram V, the guy who was writing Justice League, with art by somebody else that I literally just had the name in my head and it's gone.
Oh, by the way, but like this is actually it's interesting because Ram V is going to be doing the ongoing Swamp Thing book as well.
Yeah. No, they just kind of tapped him now for like all things like in that universe,
right? Like anything
Justice League Dark, Swamp Thing. I mean, I think he likes writing Justice League Dark, but I think he wanted to write Swamp Thing for sure. Yes. I forgot to tell you too. One of the robots speaks Krakoan for a second.
Oh,
like there's like
why?
I don't know.
That's problematic.
Yeah. Listen.
They should annihilate any robots.
Robots are just bad news for these people.
Yeah.
This book kind of just looks into the future, an apocalyptic future for humanity, in which humanity is gone because it's like humans are awesome and they're great and whatever, but there's also a side to them that is destructive and terrible and like inevitably, like it's cool because it's like you see like a Green Lantern or you see Jon Stewart on one side and then you see Lex Luthor on the other. And I just like that like imagery of like
two people wielding power
and like they're like similar like in terms of costume color, like you got the green represented, you got the glow represented, you know what I mean?
Like
and
to
it's
a plant they don't know the difference.
Well, no, I mean sure, but it's like I like that because also we're dealing with the green, like it's just very well thought out. That's kind of how this whole book is.
Totally.
I love that you have Lex there because like he is like the epitome of like greed and a lot of negatives of like humanity, and then you have Jon Stewart who represents like hope and like the ability to wield the power ring, and that's just awesome, right? I really liked that.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. But the idea is that like something happened and all the humans are gone.
Okay.
And like the something that happens kind of looks like an evil Swamp Thing might have happened.
Yeah. He hell-voided.
It's kind of what it looks like. But also you see the Floronic Man there as well for like a hot second. But that like now we're like in this future where like it's just Swamp Thing and like all these people, and the idea is that like Swamp Thing found a way to recreate or like people, and like they're like his children, but they're not, like he engineered them and like how to figure out how to like create emotions, and like obviously they're all kind of based off of his own in a way, and like So, like, that's problematic.
Yes.
And essentially their task is to try to, like, wander the earth to see if there's any humans left. And, like, he does reach out and, like, talk to the trees and, like, you know, but the trees only talk of the things that they care about. Like, oh, there's a storm coming, or, like, oh, the birds left early, like, that kind of stuff. It's like weirdly,
that's
like,
fun.
Entish of them in a way.
Yeah. It's like they were useless as usual.
Among his, like, clan followers, whatever, there's a young girl who's adorable. There's the first one he made named Heather, and like Heather's like a action hero for these people. Like, they're investigating this building and the building starts to collapse because it's a skyscraper and there are like human traps in it, and like it ends up having a problem, and she runs back in to save someone and like jumps out of a window with them and like manages to save them. They like lose their leg, but it's fine, they're a plant, they'll grow back. You know, Father Green, who is Swamp Thing, manages to like stop the building from collapsing on them. There's a guy named Indigo. He's a troublemaker. He's, you know, not quite like a impish Puck character, but like
a Loki, maybe
kind of like that, where he's just like, oh, poor Heather, you think that Father Green is like awesome, but he's not. And like, why doesn't he tell you his like super secret that like he won't tell anyone? Like, and he's just spreading that kind of thing. He's like, one day you'll all see that I'm right. Like, you think I'm the fool, but it's you who's the fool. And I'm like, okay, cool. Check the box for that character. Essentially, like, they end up going north, like, where it's, like, snowing and, like, you know, it's just super cold. And, like, one of their folk is supposed to be keeping watch, and they wake up to find them dead. Okay. Like, eviscerated. Yeah. And it's like, oh, what
There's happened? A murderer amongst us.
Right. And, like, they're like, oh, well, there are, like, tracks leading off this way. Heather and another one, like, a couple of others went after the whoever it was or whatever it was. And they track it down to a cave, and there's a person there. Yeah. There's a human there, and they have a spear, and it's covered in, like, green.
Like, blood. But for a plant man.
Yeah. They go to attack them because they're like, they killed our guy. Yeah. Swamp Thing stops them, obviously, and it's like, this is a human. And like, by the way, it's not like Swamp Thing acted like these guys were like all awesome. Like, humanity's perfect and they're amazing and they're like totally friendly.
He's just like, I'm just looking for them.
I'm looking for them, but it's like, why are you looking for them? Well, it's because I used to be
a man. Yeah. Well, kinda.
Depending.
Yeah.
But I think that's the secret that we're going to
is that he was a human. Okay.
Yeah, is that he was Alec Holland, and you know, I think that's what the secret might be revealed here. Maybe, I don't know. Okay. Because like this Swamp Thing talks a lot about science and like utilize, like, you know what I mean? Like there's like all these like cool looking scientific-esque imagery in there. Anyway. Yeah. Stops them, asks everyone to leave so you could talk to the human alone. Right, yeah. When Heather gets outside, immediately Indigo is like, oh, he found a human, and all of a sudden, like, you know, he doesn't care about you anymore. Is that right? And she's like, shut the hell up. Like, get the hell out of here. Mm-hmm. But, like, the human's like, so, like, we were up at, like, I think they mentioned, like, Star Fortress or something like that, and, like, essentially, like, it was, like, the last, like, bastion of humanity. And, like, there's clearly some sort of, like, you know, it's like civilization up there, but they all have like the wrong ideas in a way. So like himself and like 14 others left. Okay. So like, you know, go find help for whatever. And like, I think he's like the last one. And it's like, we're going to need you to help. Yeah. And like, we go back up to that civilization and there's like a being there. And like, they're like trying to bring it back. And they talk about the eternal darkness, and the being in there we're meant to believe it's the coming of Obsidian's son, who's the son of Alan Scott. Right. And so it's like, oh, that's kind of dope. Yeah, that's neat. That's kind of dope.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay, I was not expecting that. Right. More of like a, like, I don't know, cerebral, right, kind of like thinky, humanity sucks kind of way.
Right. And it very well could be, but, you know. What's neat, though, about this is that knowing that Ram V is going to be
doing Swamp Thing.
Yeah, that, like, essentially, this can be a future state of it, and you know that it's looming, as opposed to, like, you know what I mean?
But this is what they want you to think, too, because they were saying, like, hey, listen.
They were being Navi.
Yeah, well, because they're like, this doesn't matter, but maybe it does. And, like, you know, for Stephanie Phillips, who probably won't, I don't remember, there's a couple of writers who, like, won't be doing things after this. Sure. Yeah. But there will be others who will. Yeah. And so I feel like those who won't be coming back for, like, Infinite Frontier, that future, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
For those who are going to continue on, then future state really did matter because, maybe I'll be sowing the seeds of what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
Think about that. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised that Rampy's doing that.
Right.
That seems cool. All right. The art seems cool too.
It is.
Mike Perkins, by the way.
There you go. It has a very, my brain wanted to do Chris Perkins, but that's the guy who.
Well, that's the DM from Atkins.
It's like, that is not helping me at all, brain.
That would be cool.
My brain was like, Chris Perkins. I'm like, no. That'd be dope though.
Yeah.
But it has a very Vertigo feel to it.
It's nice.
Yeah. I dig it.
Pardon me. I didn't mean to take a break.
We'll just take a break.
We'll be right back. So, yeah. I guess we'll do Wonder Woman then.
Let's do it.
Because that's next in the rotation. So take it away.
Oh, you want me to do it? Oh, you said you read it as well.
I read it as well, but whatever.
Written by Joelle Jones with art by Joelle Jones.
Oh!
This is the book that I read first. This was the book that made me think, oh, this is clearly going to be a, launch for the DC Ultimate Universe.
Yes, very much
Here it comes. But maybe not. I think this is the book that they will find some way to work. This is a book, this is very much something I enjoyed from start to end. The fact is that this takes Wonder Woman and puts her right in the middle of mythology, which I love.
I know.
It's also funny because I know for a lot of folk they weren't a fan of.
Well, that's the thing, is I remember them talking about this, and they're like, finally! And I'm like, well, where were you with the Azzarello run? You hated that.
Now, there is a very different tone to this book compared to the Azzarello run, and so I think that's kind of where the issues may fall.
Yeah.
This also has a really interesting blend of mythology.
Yeah.
Because we deal with a lot of, not only Greek mythology, but, we see a little bit of, Judeo mythology for a second.
It's interesting.
There's definitely,
and
there's also Brazilian mythology, which I'm very familiar with, but looked up.
Yeah. Oh, good.
I better could understand who these characters were and who these individuals are, and very well implemented. Because the idea here is that all of these mythologies
are
exist
real or exist
simultaneously.
Yes.
And we're dealing with the underworld, and the idea is the underworld is what you make of it, whatever your vision is for it when you get there.
Right.
I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's neat. There's also a Beetlejuice-esque waiting room.
Yes, there is.
Yeah. The art for this book is distractingly lovely, and I say that in terms of I reread pages 3 times. Because I didn't. I just realized I didn't. I was like,
there's text here.
I would get 2 or 3 pages away, and I was like, wait, what? And I have to go back. Yeah. So that's a problem, but not. It's a
good problem to have.
It's a first world comic book problem. The art was too good.
Yeah.
And the visual storytelling was so good that I forgot to read.
This comic is so good I forgot to read it. It goes right on the cover. There you go.
Yeah, I was all about this book. We meet our Wonder Woman in the jungle.
Right.
I guess presumably the Brazilian jungle. The Amazon rainforest, that's where it is.
Yes.
She's on the hunt. She's on the prowl for something. She runs into a dragony beast and easily bests it, cutting its head off. It's dope, I did it.
Yep.
But nah, of course it's a Hydra.
Yeah.
And if you cut the head of a Hydra off, 12 more pop out. And that's what happens. And so she has to fight the Hydra and start screaming for Jerry.
Yeah. Who's Jerry?
Jerry's the Pegasus. I was like, yes, it's She-Ra.
Yay.
I'm so in. She's got a sword. Mm-hmm. She's got a Pegasus. This is awesome.
Yeah. This is the She-Ra you were asking for.
This is all I ever wanted in life. And she manages, of course, to best said Hydra. And we find out she's there to poach its horn.
Yes.
And by poach,
she says she's not poaching.
No. But she's greeted by, I don't know how to even say this.
God, I tried to say it out loud and I could not. It's Kaipora?
It could be Kajpora.
Yeah.
Which is actually a Brazilian like
Deity or
sprite-like
something,
being
yeah.
that I believe protects the forest of some kind, but always is pictured with a red mane of some kind.
Cool.
I think she is an incredible. They're
Great
both
design.
incredible design.
Yep.
It's just this book is just filled with awesome designs.
Absolutely.
She puts on a big show like Gandalf.
Yeah.
No, do not
Take me for one.
yeah. All right. And immediately is like, oh, okay.
Well, she gets wrapped up in.
Yeah, but
not
like,
a lasso.
No, it's like a bandolier.
Yeah,
it's
fun.
like a golden bandolier.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly knows. They know one another.
Yeah.
Like she had a birthday party and one of them didn't come.
She didn't go.
She was invited. She just didn't show up. Right.
Yep.
Essentially, she wants to get to the underworld to to threaten to kill Hades so that she can get her sister back.
Yes.
Which I loved that narrative where it was like, we didn't need to see any of that. And I also just learned a whole hell of a lot about the personality of this character.
Well, not only
like,
that.
This is a terrible plan.
Yes.
This is a terrible plan.
That's what she does.
Would you truly believe this is going to work?
Yeah. Well, her confidence is off the charts. And her dial. It's funny because like the incongruity between how she presents herself vocally versus everything against visually she is staggering, because she's like booyah. I shouldn't say that, but she speaks like a contemporary American or like a person of today's world.
Yes.
While fighting hydras and such.
Yeah, which I like talking to Brazilian mythology characters.
Yeah, like she's hanging out with like a person at a coffee shop.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
so you'd buy that, and I'm just gonna go to Hades and I'm gonna take what's
I was gonna do that. It's totally cool.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't even worry about
the image of. Are you gonna talk about this visual of her tearing the literal comic book?
I love that because essentially what happens is her.
Oh yeah, Kaipora or whatever doesn't let her take the.
She's like, you can't take the horn. That's poaching.
Yep.
And then you're not allowed to do that because this is kind of what I do is protect this. So
you can kill the errant Hydra because it wasn't supposed to be here.
Well, you can kill the Hydra because there's lots of them, but you're not allowed to do it for this reason.
Yeah. We're not allowed to take anything.
So I can just go to the underworld, so just come with me and we'll just go there.
Yeah, I'll just take you there.
Yeah, and it's cute because it's like they try to one up one another in a way where she's like, you trapped me in the jungle for 2 months.
Yes, you kept moving the jungle on me.
Yeah, she flipped it on her.
Mm-hmm.
And she mentions another Brazilian mythology character, which is like a dragon.
Yes.
It's like a dragon with fire. I'm like, that's cool.
Yep.
So they go to the underworld. And it's very much
it's an airport.
It is an airport and there's a waiting room, but you see everyone sitting there from their various reasons that they died.
Yep.
I just want to say the little demons that Joelle designed, I adore them. They're like a demonic Stitch.
Yeah.
I was taken by this whole comic and the way it looks and
how each page, every time we enter a new location, that location is like a top to bottom reboot.
Yeah.
We went from the Amazon jungle fighting hydras to the airport waiting room with these little cartoon characters, and it doesn't feel like it's part of the same universe, but it doesn't feel jarring. It feels jarring in the best ways. It's not it's not dumb. It's not I want to draw this now. It's this is cool. It works despite its incongruity.
Yeah.
But anyway,
well, for me, it's there are these two brilliantly designed characters, and then these little impish demons
which
show up,
which are not from their world. They don't look like they're from the same.
But I was so taken with them, and how simple they are, adorable, but also how easily she can get them to convey emotions when we can't understand what they're saying.
That's right.
Legit, I want this on all the merch.
Yeah.
I don't even care.
Yeah, they gotta make a few of these. They gotta make a bunch of these that you can collect.
I want that. I want on a shirt. I want on a mug.
Just come on, DC, let's
stickers. I don't care. Give it to me.
Yeah.
Essentially, I really wish she had a name.
What, the Wonder Woman character?
No, she does.
Oh.
The Kajpora.
Oh yeah. That isn't that.
Well, that's just her.
That's her title.
That's her being.
Yeah.
Not. It's like calling Wonder Woman Amazon.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Which she is, but only calling her that. She essentially is at a she's got a membership card.
Yes.
She's it's at the Costco trying to
get in.
Well, she's gonna upsell it.
Right.
What happens if I bump it up to the next thing? And so she and the demon have a back and forth about are there blackout dates? I guess it's a Flyers Club thing, United or whatever.
That's right. Yeah.
Is what she's talking to the bat. And I thought she was distracting.
Me too. No, she was legitimately having this conversation.
She was trying to make this work, and then I guess going to just get Yara in.
Yeah.
Yara, meanwhile, is like, oh, I know what's going on, and goes for the turnstile, and the turnstile won't go forward.
No.
So eventually she just grabs it and she breaks it.
Which
and
almost rouses Cerberus.
Cerberus is there and, like, is asleep.
Yep.
And, she apologizes for Yara, and they go through.
Yep.
And she's like, this is what the underworld's like? She's like, well, it's like whatever it's what everyone else thinks it is when they get here, so... She's like, oh, it's what I think it is? She's like, it's complicated. Which I dug, because I was like, are you breaking the fourth wall and it looks like that because it's what we see? I was like, probably. That's dope.
Oh, because we didn't talk, because when she goes...
Oh, yeah, when she goes to the underworld, she, like, literally rips the page apart.
The comic book page to go through the next page. And it's like...
It could also be the fabric of reality,
sure,
but
like, we're reading a book, so caring is essential. But, like... That reference suggests to me that no, she's talking to you. Like, Yara never says it looks like an airport.
Yeah.
So for her, she's like, "This is what I see," and it's like you don't know what she's seeing because we're not seeing it through her eyes. We're seeing it through our own eyes.
Right.
So it's like, we're seeing it as an airport.
Right. Or it's what Joelle saw or wants to see.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So anyway, she goes through.
So essentially, they're going to the first gate, and the gate is essentially the river Styx.
Yep.
And so the ferryman comes, and like there's a huge long line. And you need coins, of course, to cross the river Styx, which is why people would put coins on someone's eyes when, like, someone died, so you'd have the funds to get across. Mm-hmm. I mean, nowadays, it's like, I feel like that the ferryman's
everyone's going to be waiting.
Well, the ferryman's going to get shortchanged.
Big time.
It's like,
not a lot of people who do that.
Not a lot of people who do that, and also, like, there's no inflation.
Yeah. It's still 2 pennies?
2 pennies, really?
Well, it's not, because we see, like, certain people's, like, currency, and it ain't worth 2 cents.
Sure. So Yara's gonna steal it from this gentleman in front of her who looks like a sumo wrestler.
Yeah.
Who's got the little wrap on the back. That's the only reason I kind of made that assumption.
It was. I assumed the same thing.
I assumed it.
Yep.
Sorry.
Uh-huh.
But they try to come up with some other, like, way to do this, and inevitably they do get the coins from him, and so he doesn't have his coins, which I think that's right, she has her little, like, boar bite his butt.
He drops it and she catches it.
Yeah. And then I think they're gonna fight.
Yes.
And they do.
Yep.
Like, there's just a huge fight, and like the ferryman's like
what the crap is
this is my job. This is my job. I don't come to your office.
Yeah,
and just have a big fight there.
Yeah.
And then it's fine because Cerberus definitely heard that.
Yep.
Cerberus definitely showed up. I really dug this. I like the tone of this book. It's funny. I saw it in the chat. I had the same feeling, sort of. Because as you know, I'm not a big Korra fan.
Yeah.
But this felt like what Korra was supposed to be for me.
Yeah.
Which is less aggressive in terms of its, like, in-your-faceness. I don't mind that necessarily. Right. I just thought this worked more cohesively.
Yeah.
I liked the tone of this book. I have no problem with there being
multiple Wonder Women,
or again, even just having it be its own Ultimate Universe.
Where this is Wonder Woman.
Again, if you're pulling another mythology, it might not work necessarily with how DC is laid out in terms of, like, that. They may not care either because it's magical based. There seems to be less emphasis on worrying about that necessarily. But I really like this series, and I would absolutely love to see this continue on. I would love to watch the adventures of Yara Flor.
Yeah.
I think she's cool.
Yeah.
I think she's just fun.
Yeah.
And she has what I like about her is that she's her own ride-along character.
Yes.
But she's not incompetent. Right. Like, she makes bad decisions, but she has the ability to kind of back up some of these bad decisions.
Yes.
Like, she just kind of wants to brute force everything, and I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to see her on Justice League.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I loved it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the art was just I think I like it because of how good the art was also. Like,
yeah.
We'll see how strong Yara Flor stands on a book with a lesser artist.
Yeah, and if she's not written the same,
that's the thing, is it's
got the same tone.
You've got to give her that tone and keep her maintained. But which is, it's funny. I always say that with new characters, and it's like, because for whatever reason, newer creators are like they're willing to acquiesce more than older folks. But anyway, it's great. Check it out. Banji, hey guys, thought I just wanted to hear your thoughts on X-Men 16. Didn't read it.
Did that come out?
I didn't see it on the list, but there you have it. Dan V900, Tiffany's right. Tiffany's right about DC wanting to make Yara Floor work. In November, a CW show was announced. I did the same thing though, where I don't remember much of the story, but loved looking at the art. Yeah.
Well, I did go back and read it, and I do think they do want to make this character work. I feel like she, so far, has been the strongest showing, but she's also the only one so far that's been written and drawn by the same person. Yeah. And so they're like, here's a cohesive story that I'm putting out about a brand new character.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the other characters were kind of more based on something else, except for the Batman one, but that is still even based on something else. Like, she's just a totally new, like,
idea.
Here it is. Yeah. I kind of do whatever I want.
That's right. Yeah, no one can complain, because it's like, number one, like, okay.
Well, people can complain because it's more mythology based, and that's not everyone's cup of tea when it comes to Wonder Woman, even though Wonder Woman really should be intrinsically tied to mythology, but like DC didn't really push it all the time.
No.
And so when they wanted to do it, you know, with Azarello's not everyone's bag.
No.
Like, they're not all on board for Azarello. I liked what he was doing, but the tone of his work may not have been for you.
No.
I just like mythology as well, so this really does appeal to me. But if you're not into mythology, this may not be for you. Right.
Kieran Weisenberg, hey guys, congrats on 90K. Was looking at a break into Marvel. Any good books going on right now that you'd recommend? Thank you. Well, Kieran, thank you very much for your support. Thank you for digging us on 90K. We're getting closer and closer to 100, which I'm very excited about. And that's when we'll do a big live stream, by the way.
Oh, it came out on December.
Oh.
We were busy.
We were very busy.
We were...
a lot of people like Thor. I would say jump on Thor if you want to know what's going on with Thor and what's going on with Marvel, because like Donny Cates is in charge. I would also recommend Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky. It's an excellent series. I've said that 1,000 times, but you know, it's worth checking out. As far as Marvel goes, Immortal Hulk is a book you should jump on. Everyone likes that book. It's also great, so it makes sense to try that out.
Did you already say Zdarsky's Daredevil?
I did.
The X-Men
I did say that. X-Men, obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea to start on. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I'm just like forgetting about. But
I will say with X-Men, there's a lot right now to kind of catch up on, but don't be afraid.
Yes, don't be intimidated by it.
Be afraid.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for me for now. I was gonna say Spider-Man, but like no.
If you like Sword and Sorcery, you go back and pick up Aaron's run on Conan.
Yes, Conan. Jim Zub's writing it right now, and he loves that character, and
but that's what you're looking for.
Exactly. But if you are looking for that, like you can pretty much read every Conan series since Marvel got the character back, and you won't be led astray. Where were we? I think we're good. Nope. Troy Harness. Hey guys, any ideas? Any great ideas for back issues next week? Possibly Weapon X by Barry Windsor Smith. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to shoot next week's back issues right now. But
we try. We try really hard. We've done that occasionally if it's been like a, oh my gosh, like some, like, you know, there's weather or like, you know, unforeseen circumstances where we shoot the episode the week of. Yes. We really try not to do that because it's
just not a good idea.
Yeah.
Because I got to cut the show myself, so you know. But yeah, man, Weapon X one day. It's on the list. And so let's jump into Dark Knight's Death Metal #7, the final issue of the series and the launching pad for Future State / the status quo of DC, and of course Infinite Frontier, which is their new initiative.
Right.
Where everything happened, everything matters, and nothing matters at the same time. So yeah, I don't want to go page by page for this freaking thing, but I will say, like, at the end of the day, what happens is Wonder Woman fights the Darkest Knight, aka the Batman Who Laughs, and Snyder retcons everything about DC forever. Like, who's the Hand? It's a race of beings. It's like the Beyonders themselves. And they were going to destroy everything because they saw what was all the bullshit and shenanigans. Batman Who Laughs is going to kill them because, like, he's going to restart everything. He tries to strike up a deal with Wonder Woman, who's a golden god, and says, like, yo, if you let me kill the Hands. Because they keep calling them the Hands. Right? I mean, like, I'm not wrong.
I don't remember what they're just like Perpetuous folk.
Yeah, Perpetua's race.
Yeah.
But but she's an errant, like she's an aberration in her own right.
Yeah, that's why they want to destroy this. Like they kept this whole multiverse was on the DL.
Yep.
And then when Perpetua was freed and started like her bullshit
mucking around,
and started his bullshit,
her race came out.
Well, yeah, once all the crisis energy got like funneled, it blipped for them essentially. And they're like, well,
let's undo this mistake.
Just fix this. This was wrong.
Yep. So BWL is like, I'm gonna kill the Hands. And I will give you like basically I'll restore I'll restore the continuity. I'll give you your own reality. You won't remember anything, and I'll let you exist in my new 52 or whatever. And Wonder Woman's like, no, that's not the theme of the book. That's not what I've been saying since the halfway point of the series.
Right.
So, she just punches Batman Who Laughs, and she's like, I'm gonna kill him. And he's like, no, but if you kill me, there'll be nothing to stop the Hands, and the Hands are not negotiable. Like they're gonna do it.
Yeah, they're gonna do it. They're gonna destroy everyone. Like if you look into the future, like
there's nothing.
You'll see that it doesn't matter, and she does, and she's like, oh yeah, no, that's true. But she still kills him.
Yep, she's like, fuck him anyway. So she pushes him into
him.
She wrecks him, and
she pushes him into to our sun, which has gone like to the red giant stage, where it's like it's the end of everything. It's the thing we couldn't stop.
That's right.
It's time.
That's right. So she pushes him in there, and the Hands are like, "Wow, your selflessness is really inspiring. We won't destroy you."
So she wakes up in a void and is like, "Where am I dead? What's happening?" They're like, "It's us."
I'll contact you. And so they turn into her from the Golden Age.
They're like, "Well, we're going to be a being that inspires us because you guys suck." Oh, it's you guys because you had the opportunity to let us die and you saved us knowing
you were going to die.
Knowing that we would kill you. And that's awesome.
And so we won't kill you.
And then my skirt grew 3 sizes that day.
Yes.
Because that skirt goes from...
Yeah, from thigh high to
knee length. As they're walking away, I'm like, okay.
That's bizarre.
That's kind of neat. Can I get that?
Yep. That'd be fun. Maybe in 2015. Thinking of like Marty's jacket.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, they have a big party. They saved everybody.
We're all invited.
And we're all invited. Yeah, no, we're not doing the big party from Dark Knight's Metal.
It's like the heroes, the villains, even people like us, which I was like,
where? Where's any regular person?
Well, we're here. We're reading it.
Oh, yeah, like, we're bopping out to Batman, Superman, and Black Canary jamming out.
Flash is on drums.
Well, that would make sense. He has all the drums in existence.
Yeah, and now for the drum solo.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So... This will go on for eternity. So, they established, like, the new... I love how, like, Scott was like, I'm leaving. Not like DC, but I'm, like, he has set up a lot of shit. He did Dark Knight's Metal, which set up No Justice, which set up his Justice League run, which set up this, which set up that, which set up everything. And he's like, I'm done, like, being in charge of DC for a little while. For being one writer, with no editor label, he certainly had a lot to do with what was the direction of DC. But he's like, I want to just kind of step back. I'm going to work on some creator-owned projects. I'm going to work on like maybe my own I'm not leaving DC, and maybe I'll keep a couple characters for myself. But he still sets shit up for the next phase.
Well, they don't have to deal with it.
Wait, well, I
guess they do have to deal with it.
They're absolutely going to have to deal with this, but not until after Future State. But so this ending is like after Future State.
I guess.
Or Future State's happening. Well, Future State's over there. It's something else.
This is like the Illuminati.
Yes. Well, we find out, because that's what they did last time. There was a team. We got a totality. What's up? But no, now it's like everybody. And we all kind of remember. And maybe we don't. So we need, our memories jogged and stuff. So here's everybody. And, yeah. I heard there was a lot of discussion about who was in this room. But who's in the room? In the floating, orbiting... Hall of Justice / Watchtower, Lex Luthor, Vandal Savage, Talia al Ghul, Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, Martian Manhunter, Barry Allen, and Wally West.
Well, Barry brings Wally there, I guess, to make him part of the team, and Barry's like, I'm going back to the Justice League.
Yeah, you're going to be part of this team.
You could be over here now, Wally.
Yeah. And Batman and Superman.
They're just like in the background, like
we're in here too. And like
us.
So they talk about how, yeah, like there's a lot of changes. We all maybe remember shit, whatever. Here's the map of the multiverse from Grant Morrison. It's the 52, but there's more. Also, Darkseid's missing. Also,
they're growing. They're like they're making more and more.
Yes, more universes, more Earths. And Earth 0 is no longer the center of the multiverse.
No.
Now something else is.
It's two somethings.
Two Earths.
Something that they don't know.
Yeah, the unknown.
And a planet.
A planet.
Named Elseworld.
Which I honestly was like, ooh.
I was baffled by that because the conceit of the Elseworld is that it's Elseworlds.
Yes, it's that they all are their own world.
It's their own thing, and then you call this one place the Elseworld.
Dude created the dark multiverse. My guess is Elseworld is like the origin point for the alternate universes.
You go there. It's just a portal world into all the Elseworlds where like Batman is hanging out with Edgar Allan Poe and.
Or he's a Frankenstein monster, or he's a vampire,
or he's a knight of the Round Table, yes. Or Green Lantern is in Aladdin.
Yeah, these are all Elseworlds books we own.
Is it Aladdin or is it just the?
I think it's the Arabian. I think it's just the Scheherazad's
thousand
tales.
Yeah, Thousand Nights or whatever. Yeah.
But also we see a who's who of who's getting a front row seat for Future State because look at that, and also those planets we talked about. And also, hey, the Justice Society. Remember them? Remember that big splash at Doomsday Clock when we showed you the Justice Society? Well, here, let's do it again.
Yeah, but it's really Sergeant Rock who's writing
the whole story.
But he's writing it in Hall's journal.
Yes, for it to come back around.
Yeah. So it's like this.
Yeah. So, also, like, everyone in creation fights the bad guys.
They all fight everybody.
Like, that also happens.
Batman fights the Robin King.
Yep.
And Robin King's like, I guess I killed everybody. Ha 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 ha.
Also, Perpetua died, and I don't remember how or in what page it was, but like, it really doesn't matter.
No, Batman laughs.
Does he kill her? How? Because like, Perpetua was a big deal until she wasn't.
He puts her into the wall.
Oh, well, yeah, he made her into that, but like, did that kill her?
Questionably so. He got hit in the face with a big blue hand that she kicked him.
Yeah, she kicked him in the face.
That's what you're gonna question? Is if Perpetua died?
She's the reason this event existed. She was clearly the catalyst for everything. She's supposed to be the big bad.
Yeah,
and Batman laughs like, but I got an action figure.
But
me though.
He's also like on the field, but like fighting the.
Well, yeah, because he shuffled loose that body. And because Batman has the Black Lantern ring,
right?
He resurrected the Batman Who Laughs' body.
That was not really.
Remember, Batman Who Laughs put his brain inside of Dr. Bat-Hatton.
Yeah, well, I remember all of that. I just forgot that there would be a body.
But don't forget, there's also a great moment. I think it might have been in the last issue, or it might have been in a tie-in, where Batman Who Laughs says, the corpse, the puppeteer corpse says to Batman, "I can always come back if you fear me. Like, if you worry about me, a dark multiverse version of me will bring me back to life. Sure. You will never kill the Batman Who Laughs."
You know what would have been interesting if he had found some way to tie in some of his other things, like Dream.
Yeah, that would have been cool, but we did that already. And like, I don't want to piss off Gaiman.
Like when Wonder Woman's fighting him and like pushing him away.
Yeah.
Like Dream's there.
Well, I was thinking about that moment.
Or anyone.
Where in Dark Knight's Metal, out of nowhere, and one of the points, like, Dream was narrating the story. He said, like, and then there was a big, there was a crash or something like that. And I'm like, oh, that was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that was.
That does not happen in this.
It could have also been Destiny.
Destiny would have been cool. Any other Endless would have been neat. Everything dies. You think Death might have shown up at some point.
I'm glad she doesn't. But like, Destiny's there with the book, and we're dealing with Carter Hall's journal. You know what I mean? Not that they necessarily have like a one-to-one connection, but like, you could have Destiny there with the book closing like the story on this.
That would be fun. Now. Yeah. Or he opens it. Like, there's more to come.
Yeah.
So this is a thing that happened. It will not be soon remembered.
So for me, all right. So this whole thing is just so forgettable for me.
Yeah.
In that this was a book that like I had a really hard time not meta reading.
Right.
Because the story didn't connect with me enough to allow my brain to just fall into it.
Yes.
I spent most of my time trying to figure out what DC had asked Scott to do.
Yeah.
Oh, and like where changes might have happened. And that's really unfortunate. And that's just the nature of some stories where it's like, if you're not connecting with that story, you can't, either you won't even read it, or if you're reviewing things and thinking about comics in that way, you can't help but think about how everything that's going on in the background of the making of this book.
Yep.
There were little moments here and there where I was like, that's neat. There was something about, as lame as it is, for you or some folk, I'm sure, when the Perpetua race shows up and becomes her and like is like, freaking Willy Wonka, you won. You did it.
You did it. You put back the gobstopper.
You showed how awesome, even though it wasn't really a test. Like,
no, but it should have been.
But there was something about that felt very like old school answers to how to solve something, where they're just like, we respect.
Yeah, we respect your self-sacrifice.
Like, you earned that, and there was something that like really had like a nostalgia feel for some reason about that. Maybe it was just seeing the like old golden age version of her. I don't know what it was, but there's something about that I was like, this is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Like this, I get like you're making an homage here. It's not enough.
No.
It's not even remotely enough for me right now.
Yeah. Well, and for me, like one of the big things was like, you know, you're answering questions that nobody asked that don't need to be answered, but make the universe poorer for having answered.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have a better answer than none. And, like, I'm a big proponent of, like, leave it alone. And I don't mean continuity. You know, I'm of the opinion where it's like, if you, like, have figured out how to invent the pop-up ad or the atomic bomb, maybe just keep that shit to yourself. You know, like, yeah, maybe someone else will do that for you. Maybe you won't be remembered as history's greatest monster. Maybe someone else will get that distinction. You won't get the immortality of having invented that. But like, maybe there's something to be said for just not doing that. And like, who the hands are, you know, I remember when like it was tossed out there, maybe it was Dr. Manhattan. I remember that being like, that's kind of an interesting concept. Like, someone
I had a real problem.
Everyone had a problem with that, but I remember being like, at least that was intriguing. Where it's like, oh, I don't know if I like that, but like, I know what nobody liked: Perpetua being that.
Yeah. And
finding out there's like a race of them.
I know.
And that they're like hokey, or even not even like you don't even see them, but like it takes away this kind of mystery and mystique of the universe that, and it's one that like had been oddly preserved for a long time. Like, you think about how like exploitative and crappy the 90s were, and how like everything was done, like literally everything was done to make a buck, and they didn't do it then. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like, wow, like we survived the most exploitative time in comic book history, but we did this now.
Yeah.
Like, when you could literally do anything.
No, I understand that. That is a larger fundamental issue right now in general, in terms of like pop culture.
Yeah.
Where
that's the thing. Like, everywhere.
There are some people out there, and like, I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just not for me, that like people just want questions answered, and they almost don't care what the answer is. They just want to know what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm just not that person. I prefer at times, now there are some answers that are so satisfying to find out, and if like that's what the creator wanted in the first place, was to like pose this question and then answer it at some point in the future,
I buy that.
Awesome, I'm in. There are some answers that like people have come up with for things that's like, this is still satisfying, but a lot of times what ends up happening is it just detracts from what's already there, which is why I am often against people doing prequels to things, or being like, well, what would have happened if this happened? It's like, immediately it's like, I didn't see it because I didn't want to know, but like, I love John Carpenter's 1982 The Thing, and then they made a sequel thing to it, and like, what happened to the Norwegians was we
know exactly.
I got that.
We got all we need to know about what happened.
Yeah,
and that's the thing about like story.
And if you like that movie, I apologize, but the fact is, the
remake, the 27 or 2011,
that like thing that kind of explained everything that happened ahead, like before that. but I didn't need it. The story that was presented to me had enough information that, like, I could make my own story.
And you don't need a sequel to the thing either.
Yeah, I absolutely don't need any more information. Here it is, and it's okay. It's okay to have the feeling of, oh, I wonder.
Yeah, but not getting a definitive answer.
Yeah, because sometimes I wonder, and that feeling of, like, the mystique and the what if could almost be better than ever getting an actual answer. Because once that answer is there, it's there forever.
Right. And you can still enjoy the thing that came before it.
Yeah.
But there is something to be said for that thing also existing.
Yeah.
And answering that question you didn't ask.
Right. Like, now that it's gone, was it more fun to have the source wall and wonder what was beyond it?
Yes.
Than to know now that there's nothing?
Right, like, now that we know that, like, Perpetua was behind the source wall and her race of beings were the Blue Hands, we should have just kept the source wall.
But and oftentimes you won't know that until the answer
until you break the source wall.
Yeah, until the answer is presented. Now, does that mean never, ever answer these questions?
No.
No, but it means that it's okay to pause for a second before you do it.
Right.
And go, like, do we need to do this?
Yeah.
Is this strong enough? Or are we doing it just as a stunt or just as a passion project for one person?
Right. Somebody in the chat mentioned, like, sometimes you get midichlorians. I would argue most of the time you get midichlorians.
Lot. I wouldn't say most. I'd say a lot of the times you do get that.
75% of the time, and I'm being generous, it's midichlorians. And it's like, that sucks.
It does. But I don't want anyone to think that we're over here being like, oh, you never do this because, get off my lawn or whatever. It's just, sometimes it doesn't work out. And, like, it ends up damaging something that, could have just been left as it is for right now. And maybe later on someone had a really, like, solid idea. But now it's kind of hard to do that because now it just feels like...
Oh, also this.
Or we're retreading, or we're trying to whatever, or we're retconning. Yeah. I don't know. And the other thing is, like, in fairness, and I'll say this, like, if you, as a comic book fan or reader, you can wonder about the mysticism. I remember I've talked about this before, the idea that, like, back in the 90s when everything was on fire, they used to have for a time they put the survey in your comic book where they're like, would you like to see Rogue and Gambit get married? Do you want to see Spider-Man and Mary Jane get divorced? Would you like to see Sabretooth as a villain or a hero? And I'm like, don't ask me, I don't fucking know. And it's like revealing the how the sausage is made kind of like wrecks the mystique of it. Mm-hmm. But like when you're a comic book fan, you kind of take for granted the fact that, like, it's a company employing people, who are fallible or, like, have other, like, ulterior motives, or even if they don't, like, their bosses do. And it's like you take that for granted and just go, like, look at this thing that you assume is a pure product because it exists and I'm enjoying it now. But like I have no idea what it was like, what it would be like to be in a position to tell a story like Death Metal and to be up against editorial publishers, parent companies, and to try and tell, like, a story that means something to you. Because, like, I don't believe Scott Snyder tells stories he doesn't believe in. You know what I mean? No, it's true. I do think in this instance, Scott might have bit off more than
I think that's more what it is. Reach exceeding grasp, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
It's not a place from, like, I make jokes about action figures and whatnot, and, like, is that why Batman laughs is in most of these things? Yeah. But, like, but I don't think that Scott would ever write a word of a story. He would just say, like, fuck it, I got a lot of money, I don't need to write that. Like, I don't need to do that.
Right.
But if he has something to say, he's saying it. And I think that, like, it's just because my point originally was just, like, we see it as pure, but maybe those who work in the industry are like, it's not. Like, trust me, if I didn't do this, then we're gonna do something way worse.
Or like, for sure, but like that shows a flawed industry then that doesn't value the creations they have, and instead of seeing them as like a hybrid of art and business, it's all business and no longer like anything.
Or art as a casualty of the business. Like,
right.
Make some art for me so I can make some money out of it.
It's really not about like them caring about the characters and stories that mean so much to so many people out there, and it's more about making a dollar.
Yeah.
That is flawed. I understand it being a business, and I understand it needing to support those who work for it, but I think there's a balance. And I'm not saying I could find that, and I'm not saying it's easy to find, but
yeah. Well, especially like it's easier. I would hope it would be easier for a company or for an industry that tells stories for a living for 90 years to be able to do that.
Yeah. I also wanted to mention something about this event in particular, and a lot of events often.
Yeah.
Is that while part of the meta reading of this event was knowing that Future State was coming out,
right.
and
well, knowing it was 5G and then it was Future State,
right, but like I knew Future State was coming out, and they've already announced writers for upcoming books. There was no way to read this and think there were stakes.
No, there were no stakes involved,
and that is a problem sometimes when I'm reading things where it's like I really should just enjoy the story. Because, who knows what'll happen, right? But it's like, at the end of the day, I know what's going to happen.
Right, like every superhero story I read that's in main continuity, I know the hero's not going to die.
Yes, which is why I think, it's rough when you're a reader who's also reading independent works or, like, Vertigo works. You know what I mean? Like, when you're reading a Once and Future or a Saga or something Stealing the Children or Sandman, literally anything could happen.
Right.
And they, like, especially if they're telling a story with a beginning, middle, and end, where it doesn't have to be ongoing, and at one point the story's going to be over, that creative team can take you on a ride.
Yeah.
And, like, they can take characters away from you, and that character never has to come back.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
But when you're reading mainstream, and there is a business behind it, and they have to get press releases out, and they have to get people excited about, like, what's coming up,
like,
that it kind of loses that, like, anything could happen. So it's hard not to meta read sometimes. And for this book, I was so meta reading it, where it was like, it's all going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's all fine. Okay.
Well, and like, even if it wasn't, like, if Scott went the other way with it, and he was like, it all got fucked and it all died, and then, none of the characters you like will ever return, and it's going to be this thing. Like, that would be an unsatisfying story.
Oh, it would be.
Like, it's not like I'm advocating for it not to have a happy ending.
Right.
But, like, this isn't even really like an ending. Like, it's not a lot. There are no stakes. Like, and there's, like, window dressing to suggest stakes. Like Batman and Superman having a secret like 5 issues ago from Wonder Woman, and then them revealing the secret being like, I can never not be Darkseid and I'm dead. And it's like, who gives a shit? I know what's going to happen at the end of this. And it's like, but it matters to them and they care. And it's like, yeah, but like, they're fake. Like, I'm the one reading it. I don't know. It's odd. Like, the comic is, I don't think Death Metal will ever be able to stand on its own. Like, I don't think Death Metal will be a book people are going to read 5-10 years from now and go like, man, I can't even imagine what life would have been like, what it must have been like to read this thing when it was coming out.
Well, some people might, and I think it's gonna read differently in trade than it will in floppies, but I don't know if it'll help or hurt it.
Yeah. Because
there's so many times in which a lot of sentiments are repeated in this.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it'll be more noticeable.
Right.
I do wonder how fast it will read, because this felt like a slog at times.
It did, yeah. Well, and only because like there were things that you like could feel. It wasn't even like I had advanced knowledge. It was just like there were moments where you're like, none of this is gonna pay off, is it? Like Swamp Thing, Harley, and Jonah Hex, and like their little like subplot where people are like, man, I want a Jonah Hex, Harley, Swamp Thing story.
Yeah,
it's
not happening.
You didn't get one in this.
Yeah, no, it's very true. It's funny. It sounds like we're ragging on Scott. We're ragging because like the fact is, it's like when Scott is given a story about something he really, really cares about. Like you said, like I'm sure he cared about this.
I think he did.
But like, there's a story out there where it's about a father and a daughter and like their relationship, and there just happens to be horrific supernatural beings that in the woods that uproot and destroy their family. It is some of the best story you're gonna read written by this guy. It's tight from beginning to end, and the ending is satisfying in its unsatisfactoriness in a way, and its unconventionalness,
right?
For what you would imagine from a Snyder story. But it's this little world. Yeah, it's just this little concise thing with this little unit, and like that's all we're really focused on.
Right.
And maybe that's the problem. Maybe much like a Tom King needs to be restrained within 12 issues, maybe Scott needs to be restrained to like
a smaller universe.
Here are some characters.
Right.
Just a handful of characters, and this is it. Like maybe 1, 2, 3-ish.
Yeah.
Just deal with them.
And none of them can like move the sun. Because like that's the problem is it gets too big. It just like and I don't know. It's like being mad at a kid for being too creative. He he wants to tell this story about everything, and I think at the end of the day, Scott Snyder's in an interesting place as a writer, where he has gone from like I tell stories about little stories, but like as a writer, he has gotten to the place where he's like, but it always gets bigger.
Yeah.
Like
he wants to grow. He wants to move on from that.
Well, and he's like just his mind has opened up to a point where it's like, and it could get bigger, and it could get, but it's like an infinite frontier in its own way.
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, like that should be commended. Yeah, and it's like maybe when it's not contingent on the future of your entire publishing line.
Yeah, and
you're able to like, cause I bet he could like. Because like his Justice League run, I was not a big fan of, and it's like I think it's because it was setting up this, which was setting up the next thing, and it's like if he was just able to tell a goddamn Justice League story, like it's great, the one with the fourth dimension, with like Mixtus Pitlick and Batmite. Right. It's like it was kind of self-contained, and it was still the biggest goddamn thing ever, and it was just and it was satisfying.
Right.
I think when he's not, I think maybe that's why he's like I gotta step away, because it's like. I don't want to be responsible for the whole goddamn line. I just want to tell stories. Yeah. And it's like, that's why he's not an editor.
Yeah,
like,
no, absolutely.
I tell stories, and it's like, let him tell stories.
He also doesn't need to prove that, like, he remembers history.
Yeah,
or,
like
he's not. He doesn't this character over there that like
justify his nerd cred.
It's okay. You're Scott Snyder.
Right. We get it.
You're good.
Just tell the story. Why isn't so and so in this? Because I didn't fucking want to write about that character. That's why. Like at the end of the day, that's why.
You created the Court of Owls. You get a pass.
Exactly. Right? Nowadays, like you created the Batman who laughs.
Yeah. Well,
you get a pass.
I went back to a thing I like.
Well, I like the Court of Owls. Yeah, that's fair. But I'll bet. Well, actually, you know what? I'll bet it's neck and neck. I bet BWL and Coup make about as much money now. I don't know. But yeah. So let's talk about some books that are coming out this week we think you should check out. At the end of the day, death metal happened, and it can never not happen.
No, it happened forever, and
And I'm going to try in a year to read the whole thing again.
Yeah, in a trade for sure.
Because I will tell you this:
give it a shot.
I did reread Dark Knight's Metal, like a while ago.
Yeah,
and I liked it more.
I remember, you know what it is? I read Dark Knight's Metal like when it came out, and that was it. Yeah. Like that's really the end of it for me, except when we did the GBU where we did the tie-ins. That was kind of the last touchstone for me for that universe.
Yeah.
I remember more things from that
than this thing I've read like a month ago.
Yeah, and I remember more positivity connected to that than to this, honestly.
Yes. It was a strong.
But like you said, give it a little time and like negativity wanes, and maybe I just remember some of the fun.
Yeah, there's no way I'm going to enjoy this again.
You don't know. You don't know.
There's nothing about this kind of story that appeals to me.
Maybe that you pick up on this time.
That's
like
true.
Next time around that you're like, oh, I didn't notice that, and I kind of dug that.
Yeah. Like I remember it being like kind of sacrilegious that he used Dream, and now I'm kind of like, no, I like Dream in this story in the other one.
Yeah.
Right? Like I almost wish he went a little further.
That's what I didn't like about it, because it just felt like a stunt, and then there was no
like
payoff.
I wish Death and like the Endless were.
I don't need the rest. It's okay.
I know, but like
it's okay.
no one ever uses them.
I know. Well, there's a reason.
I mean, they're in that Sandman series that no one's.
But there's also a reason for that, because there's one man who created them, and
he didn't want to do that anymore.
That's okay.
He wants to change them up and ruin it with TV.
But it's okay to stop.
No, but there's money to be made. So this week, when it comes to recommendations, Dark Detective comes out from Future State. It's the Bruce Wayne book. Seems neat. I'll check it out. Future State Justice League. Williamson's writing it.
That looks very like Justice League Unlimited
to me.
It's
the end shot of Justice League Unlimited.
Right? Like, I like that. So, like, I'm, like, immediately feeling connected to wanting to read that.
And I want to see, like, what is the interaction? Like, maybe I'll like John set against the League more.
Right.
I'm interested to see like the antisocialness of Tim Fox against the League, a more antisocial Batman.
Yeah.
Who could believe it? Amazing Spider-Man also comes out. 57 is going to make or break whether Last Remains is great. No, whether Last Remains is good or not. That's it.
You were so high on this.
I was, and then but it never really did anything. It was just like it was borderline fan service and not a lot of anything else.
Right.
So
by the way, there are many Future State.
There are more Future State books
that are coming out, but we're not going to name them all.
And I'm not going to recommend them.
I am going to recommend Sword number 2.
Oh my God, it's a King in Black tie-in.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm still doing it.
I guess it would make sense. He's invading from space.
They have to. This ship is up there. Like
he has to pass Null.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Null has to pass them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cool.
But regardless, I mean, like, it sucks that it's like issue 2.
Yeah. Issue 2 tie-in. Damn it. But it is Al Ewing, and so
I have faith. I'm gonna read this. It's fine. Whatever. But because it is a tie-in, if you want to hold off, I get you. Like, I feel you, because it's like maybe you don't get the $4 because you want to get some Future State books. I understand.
Yeah,
totally get it. But I'm definitely gonna grab it. My Future State books I'm definitely gonna be reading that I'm gonna mention.
Yeah,
Superman, Wonder Woman. Just because I really want to read more of Wonder Woman, Yara Flor. It is John Kent. He's got a cape on this one.
Yeah.
I hope he has it in the book.
He doesn't. Oh, he doesn't in his book.
Yeah, but like here he is. So I'll at least check it out. I don't know.
I don't know.
Give it a shot. And I'm also gonna grab Future State Green Lantern.
Neat.
Because it's Jon Stewart.
Yay.
And he's my favorite. So
well,
hooray!
Well, the guy who's taking over for the Green Lantern book when Future State is over loves Jon Stewart.
This one isn't oversized as well. It looks like it's 3 books. It's The Last of the Lanterns Part 1, The Book of Guy, which I probably won't read, and The Tasking of Sector 123.
Okay. All right. So is that like the Taking a Pelham 123? I bet it is.
Maybe. It is. That one is it's extra size, so it's 48 pages. It will be a little more cover price. It looks like it's $6. So make your decisions based on that.
Yeah. Getting back.
Also featured Guy Gardner and Jessica Cruz.
Yay.
Oh my God! Wait, is that
that Guy?
No, is that? No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Okay,
it's not that guy.
That dog.
Yeah, no. I don't remember his name anymore.
I don't want to. It's okay.
What's the name of the dog? Green Lantern. Everybody, I can't remember his name.
Nope.
From Guy Gardner Reborn.
Nope. It could be him.
So yeah, let me read the super chats and then we will say happy trails. All right, here we go. There we go. Troy Harness asked that. Matthew Lane. Hey Sal, I wonder what your thoughts are on Spider-Man right now. It's not a story, but I'm glad to see Bagley back. Backlash 225. Hey, any thoughts on Star Wars High Republic's first issue? Didn't read it. Dan Wesley with a adorable GIF. Thank you very much. I love this guy. I don't know why.
Backlash, thank you still for the super chat.
It was Nort. Thank you, thank you, Mustache. Just some guy with mustache. You can't have a whole race of beings show up at the last minute, explain why they're important, and say how they feel. That just makes me feel angry. Good Robot Devil reference. Thank you, man. Zachary Walker, what are y'all's most anticipated Infinite Frontier title? Tom Taylor's Nightwing. Probably. Tom Taylor's anything. Sounds good to me. I'm excited to see what Williamson's going to be doing soon. Yeah. I have to look at the rollout again.
There you go.
Hat's Beetle, hey Sal and Tiffany, I'll be watching the repeats. Got a new kitten and showed her an episode of Back Issues and it freaked her out.
Oh my God.
There's probably too much yelling in it, so I would.
Oh, I bet it's adorable. I bet she's so cute.
Yeah, right.
That's my weakness. That's my kryptonite.
Yeah, it's kittens. Matt Mustache also says, "Oh, thank God they outsmarted the Batman who laughs with strategy and not because of a Deus Ex Machina again." Yeah.
Yeah, it's always that.
And midi-chlorians, it's always midi-chlorians. Lawrence Perry, as a new fan, I must wonder, isn't Perpetua like the third so-called creator of the DC universe? What about the Anti-Monitor and that dude from the Superman Icon crossover? She's like a new god. Yeah, man. Listen, first of all, welcome.
Welcome, hello.
But also, yeah.
There's not only that, but there's also what the hell's his name? Like God.
Yes. Oh, the Source.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, there's the Watchers that they introduced. So
yeah, and then you got the like, where do they come from? Who made them?
That's true. Dan Ing, I'm someone who was brought back in by Rebirth and was alienated by Metal and then Superman. Is there anything coming up to bring me back in? Philip Kennedy Johnson's gonna be doing Superman, which is like bizarre. I would try that out.
You could also check out the digital Super Sons run right now. If like some of Rebirth brought you back in, maybe you were digging on Super Sons, and like the digital Super Sons is like $1 each time it comes out.
Yeah.
So maybe if you're not I don't know if you read digitally or not. I think it's only available digital right now. But that might be something that might interest you. It's really just, kind of in between what's happening right now. Yeah. But might just be something to keep you reading DC.
Agreed. Yeah. It's a good series. But yeah, somebody mentioned The Presence is the name of God. Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Is that what you said?
No, I said The Source.
That's it.
Which is another thing.
My brain made you say The Presence. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, brain. That's messed up.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you said that.
No.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. But listen, we're very lucky to have you all. Thank you so much for watching the show. Subscribing to our channel, liking the videos. Everything a little bit helps, and that's not one little bit at all. It's actually quite a bit.
Yeah.
So thank you all. Listen, if you're interested in getting a gift for yourself or for a loved one, you can always check out Deadpool, Cooking with Deadpool from Inside Editions. But listen, there's no obligation to get this. There's a promo code at the top of the chat and also in the description below this video where you can pick up anything from Inside Editions. A couple of exclusions apply for 35% off.
Deadpool has some notes.
Some annotations?
Some annotations to the back here. He mentioned Spidey.
Oh.
Because they talk about Deadpool's favorite meals, including tacos, pancakes, all that stuff, inspired by some of his closest friends. And that's where it says, like, here's looking at you, Spidey.
Oh. Spidey's like, we are not friends! But yeah. So yeah.
Oh, there's so many chimichanga recipes.
Why?
Because he loves chimichangas.
I hear that.
There's a basic one. Fajita one.
So basic.
Oh, a crab rangoon one. A breakfast one.
Ooh.
Oh.
But, yeah. Well, thanks a lot for hanging out, everybody. We'll see you guys next time with an all-new episode. And, of course, stay tuned tomorrow for Elseworlds. Joshua Williamson's coming on the show, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Watch it.
You shouldn't have given this back to me. Here we go. Let's hold it here.
So long, everybody. Thanks.